Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Ben Hansen, joined by Jeff Markiafava at the end of the table.
Hi.
You're such an Then we got Dan Tack here.
It's great to be here.
I'm so excited. An old, unblinking Jeff Cork.
Hi. You're getting better at ignoring us when we do that.
I know, it is a constant stare down, but I will continue to ignore you guys. We got a good show here. We got my favorite group of people.
What?
Bullpen B,
Here?
we call them.
That's right. We're the best.
That's right. We're going to talk about Star Fox Zero, Bravely Second, the RPG, Banner Saga 2, a bunch of other nonsense, and then we're going to get to some listener emails. And then at the tail end, we're going to be joined by Game Informer's intern batch, who are being kicked out the door as we speak.
Nice.
Yeah? So we're getting them on the show to say goodbye, and just to make it more entertaining for the viewers and everybody involved, we're doing Back of the Box Trivia. Special intern edition of Back of the Box Trivia.
What does that mean?
I can't wait. I'm going to watch that.
There may be an angle.
An
to
angle?
it, but that they don't know about ahead of time. So
Don't tell them,
I
everybody.
Yeah,
I
please
actually want to fast forward in time just to watch that now.
have you played Back to the Box Trivia yet?
I have not been on an episode with it, no.
Okay, at some point, Dan Tech, we can do it. Would you want to do like a PC edition or something?
Sure.
Or you could just do anything.
I'm down for whatever, but PC would be preferred.
You could just read the system specs.
Dan can come
Here you
immediately nail
go.
it.
386 or higher.
Hey,
That would actually be kind of challenging.
Jeff Cork,
Yeah.
it seems like the biggest game of the week. You guys are welcome to refute this if you disagree. Star Fox Zero?
That speaks to the week.
It speaks to a week. Not to say your guys' games that we're going to talk about later are bad.
Are we talking about like...
Cultural
Which
impact.
week are we-
Sure, okay.
Yes.
That's fine.
Cultural impact and legacy.
Then I have no... Yeah.
There we go. We got to go Star Fox Zero on the Wii
Okay.
U. Comes out on Friday.
Sure.
You played this, and it started out with you saying, this seems fine.
Yep.
And then it ended with you saying,
This seems fine. This is a Star Fox game that is not as good as I would like it to be.
what do you want from a Star Fox game?
What do I want from a Star Fox game?
Yeah.
I want it to be like Dark Souls.
Ooh.
At Stardew Valley.
Okay, keep
This is
going.
getting a little
A
brutal.
really rich crafting system.
Uh-huh.
RPG-like elements. No,
Great.
I would like new planets.
There's no
some-
new planets in Star Fox Zero?
It is basically like
I have trouble
it is not a
believing this.
beat-for-beat remake of Star Fox 64, but if you have played Star Fox 64, you'll be like, yeah, I think I recognize a lot of this stuff. So there's a lot of the same planets. Things are different, you've got the gyrocopter thing and some subtle tweaks to the gameplay, the motion controls and everything. But I mean, it is just kind of a by-the-book Star Fox
and it seemed
game.
like that was the biggest bummer for you was how Star Fox 64-ish it is. And if you didn't play like the 3DS remake, I mean, it's been 20 years. Like, can you really fault them for going back to something that people haven't experienced for 20 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely can. Because they complete, like, Nintendo, they are masters at revisiting IP. Because that's something they do frequently, right? So, they do it very successfully, I'd say, with the Mario franchise. You know what I mean? Where they're adding enough stuff where it's like, this is at its heart still a platformer, but it feels fresh. They're adding some new things. Star Fox Zero, rather, doesn't seem like what they've added really separates it from past Star Foxes in any meaningful way.
More of like a reboot. But, I mean, it's tough because I feel like Star Fox, God, it's just gotten the...
Yeah, wait a minute. I'm just to play devil's advocate here.
Please.
He doesn't need one.
It's Star Fox is doing something new and innovative,
Right.
essential to keeping what is mostly a beloved franchise if we go all the way back.
And also, like, on that point, they've been trying different things, I feel like, with Star Fox for a while. I mean, people...
Oh, absolutely.
People
Like-
talk about, like, Star Fox Adventures or even
Yeah.
Star Fox Assault. Like, hey, here's a bunch of crazy on-ground stuff on the GameCube, Star Fox Command on the DS. Like, you're controlling and it's more strategy-based. So it seems like they've been trying different things, and everyone's like, just give us Star Fox 64, you hacks.
Yep.
And then they gave us Star Fox 64, and you're like, you're a hack. Boo! So how do you, like, what do you do? How do you split that difference?
Well, that's not my job, though. You know what I mean? Like, if Nintendo wants to pay me to be a consultant for them, maybe we could sit down and talk.
Uh-huh.
It shouldn't just be like, okay, add new crappy things or do exactly the same thing. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And like the fact that we've got it. The ending in particular is almost like a shot for shot remake of this Nintendo 64, and you just wonder what is
Spoilers.
this thing?
It's fan service. What do you mean what it is? That's exactly what it is. People lose their minds over Star Fox 64.
Okay.
I know you have no nostalgia whatsoever for the
I like
entire
Star
60
Fox 64.
Okay, but for the console in general, I remember you talking about being flabbergasted that people were nostalgic over the N64. But
To
you
the
talk
degree
about,
that they say that they are, yes.
it's like a shot-for-shot remake. I think that would be kind of fun for fans of Star Fox 64. But my little anecdote about Star Fox Zero is I had some friends over. It was like 3 people that were huge fans of Star Fox 64. I was like, hey, got new Star Fox Zero. Let's all sit down, have some beers, play this.
This sounds like a very interesting focus group experiment.
Yeah?
That'd
Would
be-
you like to predict how it goes, Dantek?
Yeah, I'm sure they loved it.
We sat down, had some beers, played it for like an hour, maybe a little over an hour, and the conclusion was literally throwing down the Wii U gamepad and saying, "This is horse.
What did you say?
What a horse game!"
Screen.
I'm
Yes,
surprised.
that's exactly
and wow.
Because the default controls, to be fair,
That is exactly
are
what it is.
Terrible. The way that it works, and people who are just listening, you'll have to imagine that an elaborate pantomime. But basically, the way that is by default is your targeting on the second screen, like on the gamepad, is like dependent on where you're kind of moving, like the gyroscope.
Yeah,
And the problem though is that it loses its position like almost instantly.
so you constantly have to hit recalibrate over and over.
Yeah,
and
because
over
you'll
again.
be like, okay, I'm in the center position. Oh yeah, I'm shooting these guys. Now it thinks this is the center position. So here we go. Oh wait, now it's over here.
And it's funny because the person's playing it, constantly recalibrating and moving this dumb gamepad around. I like the gamepad, but for the sake of argument,
It's dumb for
and
you.
everyone else is looking at the TV screen, and maybe we were just really terrible. But looking at the TV screen, then it's just like, hey, you can see an R-wing like fly into a wall repeatedly. It just looks so stupid because this person is struggling so much. But something we didn't find, but you did, is that there's an alternate control scheme. So please break that down.
That does fix significant parts of the issues. That
So it just
people are gonna
removes
have.
motion controls?
No, don't be ridiculous. You gotta have
okay.
motion
Hey,
controls.
come on.
What it does
2016.
basically is it makes it so motion controls are only activated when you hold down the firing button, rather than like constantly moving your crosshair.
flying. Okay.
So when you hit like your fire, you're shooting your gun
Yeah.
in your R-wing or whatever. That is when motion controls are activated. So
Okay.
while you're holding it down, then you release it, and it's basically recalibrating itself invisibly every time you do.
But even with that, how are the controls?
Ultimately, like at best, they are fine. It's just one of those.
I'm so sick of these like fines and okays.
Well, what do you
That's all
want from me?
this podcast
I just last time I was on here, we got the same thing. It's like, I like impassioned opinions.
Well, I'm not going to say this is absolutely the worst thing.
You don't need to say,
that
you don't need
I've
to say it's the
ever
worst, but like
endured. It's
it seems
worse
like
than-
it seems like we hedge a lot on okays and fines rather than just being like.
Well, I think that there are a
below
lot of
fine.
things that are okay and fine.
This
though.
world is filled with fine things if you open your eyes,
This-
Dan.
this-
Tech.
it
I
is-
keep them. I walk around with my eyes closed.
It is
so
the
I'm just
definition
missing-
of adequate.
Are the
Right.
controls better or worse than Nintendo 64?
I would say that it does offer a greater degree of precision.
Okay.
But at the same time, like Nintendo 64, it was kind of squishy enough as far as aiming, where as long as your nose was like in the
Nose the
general
frog.
direction, you get the hits on there.
So, I mean, I think going back to Star Fox 64, one of the things when you look at that game in retrospect is how small it is. Like, yeah, there's a multiplayer mode, which some weirdos like Ryan Shea are super into, but the actual story itself or campaign, if you can call it that, like, it doesn't take too long to beat it at all. So Star Fox Zero, like, roughly the same.
Yeah, it's. I think it's longer than the 64 version.
Okay.
But it's something you could like beat it in an evening.
Okay. Is there a multiplayer mode?
Yeah, there's a co-op mode where
Okay,
one
but
person
no versus.
no,
Okay, but the co-op mode, what are you doing there? How does that work?
one person flies, the other person shoots.
All right. I remember in I think it was the E3 tour that we did, maybe in 2015, maybe 2014. You can find it on our site and on YouTube and whatnot. You were looking at Star Fox Zero, and you said, those mountains and the environment in the background, it looks like when you go too far in an open world game, the area that you can't get to.
It's horrible.
Yeah, they did obviously they kind of took it a different direction a little bit too. I think from when we saw it there, like it was delayed, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of the narrative they were pushing was, we kind of put in a traditional map because I think before it didn't have that.
Free range mode?
No, like between levels, kind of like that map of
sure.
showing all the planets and everything. I don't know how important that is to people, but that's there.
I think it's a big thing for Star Fox fans.
Yeah, that's fine. And I mean, I hate it. It's
okay.
That map. Oh, grr. Oh, I love it.
Hey,
Whatever.
if it's just fine, it's just fine.
Sometimes things are just fine. Anyway,
Sometimes.
but I think it does look better than it did before. But
Okay.
ultimately, it's still a very simple looking game. A lot of bright, flat colors.
Beautiful. Cute
Yeah.
little frogmen.
Oh,
Cute little frogman.
Slippy is my favorite, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What an
the
engaging little
tongue.
character. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not fine. He's cool.
What
Yeah.
about what is that thing? So Star Fox Guard is a little mini game that is on a disc that also comes with Star Fox Zero.
At retail, yeah, you could also buy it separately as a download.
Yeah, and in that there is a robotic frog named Rebot. Mm-hmm. Is that the highlight of Star Fox Guard? Is seeing that little Rebot frog sing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That is absolutely the highlight. Also, we did see it in the 3DS version. Like Slippy had a girlfriend, and she had hair, but Slippy's uncle Grippy has hair as well, and it looks really weird. to
Hair
see
where there was
on a
no hair.
frog.
Uncle Grippy?
Uncle Grippy.
Is this all right? I'm done.
Grippy and Rippy, baby.
Sounds fine.
As they say. But Star Fox Guard, which is that little mini game, it feels like something that should be Nintendo Land, but it's just like a weird
Absolutely.
tower defense thing where you're jumping between cameras. I will say, during my little anecdotal test experiment, little experience here, we did play Star Fox Guard, played 2 missions of it, and people were saying, this is so much better than Star Fox Zero. No, let's never play it again and forget about it. Basically like every Nintendo Land game. Where it's
Yeah.
like, all right, this is fine. This
I
is
get it.
decent. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Star Fox Zero. It's so tough because it feels like it's stuck. It makes me really sad for Star Fox fans because it's like, hey, we're partnering with Platinum, which is a developer people normally like. They're making this new Star Fox game, which is such a crazy homage to Star Fox 64, which people always herald as the best. Except for those weirdos that like Super Nintendo version.
That
but
Super Nintendo version. Is
I know
better.
there's a lot of people out there that love
a
it.
slot machine you fight.
But it's just like crazy amounts of fan service, and then you can feel that Nintendo twist, which I'll just blame Miyamoto for, of being like motion controls. And because of that little twist in there, it throws off so much of the potential fan service and love. Is that an accurate read on the situation?
Yeah, I could see that. You really thought about that a lot more than I'm willing to.
I have a short play with Miyamoto walking into the Platinum office
Okay.
and screaming, destroy this game, and then flipping coffee tables.
This
over.
would be do you really have that?
No, I
I would
don't.
love to see that.
We should do more fan fiction on the podcast.
I agree.
Star Fox Zero, what'd you end up giving it, Cork?
675.
Is there any hope for the future of Star Fox? What do you want? Where do they go from here?
What do
They
I-
are-
that?
I mean, they already gave the ultimate fan service or an attempt at the ultimate fan service, and now people are going to be like, not so much. And now,
I
what's
think
the lesson for Nintendo?
Fan service is ultimately a really lazy route to go.
Interesting.
I think I appreciate like fun nods, but I think when it is like when you're reconstructing the ending of a game,
Yeah,
I don't know that
what's
that would-
what's regurgitation
on,
versus
hang on.
fan service?
Hang on here. I got to throw something. I have to pose a question now.
okay,
So if they did, another Metroid game, would it be fan service if they made it like, a real Metroid game, or do we want to take things in an innovation land like Federation Force?
I don't know if that's necessarily innovation land.
What about, okay.
But what
You get what
if
I'm saying,
What
right?
if they
Right.
made another 2D Metroid game that everyone wanted versus just remaking Super Metroid
Fair.
with
you could say, like-
slightly better
like the-
graphics?
That's
you know?
fair. Yeah.
Like the GBA Castlevanias, you could say, well,
Okay.
oh god, that's just another side-scrolling Castlevania. But I mean, those are fun.
Yes.
and they're different, and they offer like different experiences within that template.
That's fair.
And I think that you could completely do that with like a classic Star Fox. Introduce new characters,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a new story, a new villain, all kinds of things like that. Maybe-
That's
If
excellent explanation.
is the conclusion if you're super nostalgic over StarCraft 64, no one's nostalgic over StarCraft 64, Star Fox 64, and you're looking for something like that, and you don't mind motion controls, will you have a good time with this game?
you've created a really interesting individual.
His name's Dale. He lives in Virginia.
Dale will likely have an okay time with it.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Great,
Dale.
put that on the back of
Are we
the
going to have
box.
Dale on the show?
Classic
Yeah, really, he's
Dale.
going to call in the second half. Hey, speaking of just fine, tell us about Bravely Second, Jeff Marchiafava.
Yeah, the follow-up to Bravely Default. Tech actually played it too.
Yeah.
We have slightly differing opinions. on the
Ooh,
product.
I would love to know
Oh,
this.
really?
Slightly.
Okay.
So this is classic JRPG.
Kind of. I mean, they do add some innovations to the actual combat, which I think makes it much better. But I'm interested to hear what Tech thinks were the down points to it.
Hang on, before we get to that. So this is the 3DS JRPG. You reviewed Bravely Default, which
Yes.
it came out a couple years ago.
Yeah, 2 years
What'd
ago.
you think of that one? What'd you give that one?
I gave that one an 8.
Okay. And now we're the table is set. Now
Right.
Dan Tack, Bravely Second comes around. What does it make you feel, baby?
I would, I enjoyed it a little bit more than Jeff, but I probably agree with the same pitfalls.
Okay.
Which are
Oh, I'll let him tell them, and then
Yeah.
Talk about.
The story is just complete garbage, and they also make you replay through the entire game a second time, which, to their credit, the first game made you play through it 5 times before you finally got to like the true ending.
What does play through it mean?
You play through it, and then an event happens, and they reset the world, and you go through the same series of side missions.
Same cutscenes, like same story beats.
Yeah, pretty much. Go to the same locations.
Do you keep your XP
It's
and
exa-
everything?
yeah,
Yeah,
you do.
Abilities? Okay.
It's like a new game plus would be in a traditional game. Except
Lord.
you have to do it.
Okay, and you
Yeah.
only have to do that once this time around.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing that makes it slightly better this time is that the side missions that you do give you new jobs, which are like your classes that give you different abilities and stuff. And that's always been kind of the meat and the best part of the game, is collecting those. And in the first one, you went on a bunch of single ones, and then you had to repeat all of them. And this time, they take 2 of the job classes and they pit them against each other, and you have to choose one or the other.
Ooh,
and so
interesting.
So the second time you play through, you can just make the opposite choice every time and play different bosses.
Okay.
But
That seems
otherwise,
all right.
you're still going to the same cities, and they streamlined some of it so you don't have to go through all of the dungeons the second time.
Well, like you might have
But
an
it's still-
ability to like, hey, now I can open this door.
You can just walk through it.
They'll just
Seems
be like,
generous.
okay, go meet this guy again, and instead of him sending you to 5 different places to walk back and forth, they'll just let you jump to the boss battle again. But it's still just like it still struck me as just filler content in order to get to the 60 hours that a JRPG has to have.
God damn it. What? All these games, they get so close. It's so frustrating to hear, like, hey, classic JRPG inspired by old school Final Fantasies. Here we go on 3DS. First one sold well. This one seems to do everything, or most things, fairly well, and then completely garbage story and writing. How can you botch that part of a JRPG that hard?
Yeah, and that's really the worst part is like they managed to do some clever things to make the grinding not as bad this time, and you can turn off random encounters and turn them back on, so you can choose when you want to actually do that.
That's great.
And that's sped up a lot compared to the first game, but the story is just like the worst crap. And then like you'll have cheap boss battles where you'll get to the end and you'll beat him, and then another guy will come in and he'll get his health all completely back, and then the second guy's there and the battle's twice as hard, and then you beat them, and instead of killing them, they just kind of escape, to come back, and you'll have to fight them again later. And
It sounds like a classic thing. Is it just in the modern age that seems
yeah,
dumb?
but and I really have to emphasize the story is super stupid.
What? Tell me, lay it out. Let's get this fanfic going.
It's like
Good gravy.
yeah, you have like united the 2 factions from the first game, and there's going to be peace, and then Kaiser Oblivion comes in. Who's the
Kaiser
bad guy.
Oblivion.
Yes, and
Does he have a helmet with a spike on it?
He's got a really cool mask.
Yeah.
Secretly Kevin
yeah.
Spacey.
he has a secret identity, but we don't want to spoil that
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
But then he kidnaps Pope Agnes, she was one of the characters in the first game.
Okay.
And then you have to run around and do all these side missions for no reason whatsoever.
Is it simple and kind of not in your face, or is it a lot of leafing through text that's just abysmal?
Lots and lots. And you can skip through it, which is the good part.
Okay. All right.
I had to go through it for the review, I think. But
Dan Tack, you seem like a skipper.
I skipped all of it. The story
Snippy
is
skipper.
an abomination. However, the game has the
There
story.
we go. Dan Tack
Well, I'm
coming
not
in
gonna
black
say
and
it's
white.
fine. I'll just say it. You know.
Right.
But the game, to its credit, I loved a lot of things about that game. Being a fan of old school RPGs, the grinding was much cut down, and it really rewards the player for like finding ways to break the game. It's all about picking the right job classes to break.
Okay.
Just go completely overpowered and go crazy. Just level up super fast. Like you can blow through that if you do it right. You can level up much faster than the first game and be overpowered.
If you do it
very
right, it's
quickly.
like you barely even have to play that game at all.
Yeah, but you want to. Man, I spent like at least 3 hours on just the Chompcraft mini game.
Chompcraft.
I don't know why.
And it is so dumb,
What
but
is
it's
it?
so
What is
fun.
Chompcraft?
It's just like your crew makes little like plush chomps. Okay,
they're little
you
stuffed
fill little
animals.
baskets of them and sell them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's like cool music
But why did you do it?
because it was fun.
What do you do in this mini game?
It's
Yeah,
like a
break
mini.
it
You
down.
love it, Cork, being a Tap Titans fan.
Yeah,
that
what do you
are.
do?
You have
It's like
your
Cookie
crew.
Clicker, kind of.
Your crew makes chomps. So you want to get rare chomps. You want to make them create chomps faster. You want to get higher quality chomps, and then you sell the fully basket of chomps like an egg crate.
But you're selling them for currency that you don't use in the main game.
But if you do it right, you transfer that currency. Like
But
eventually, when you start to be a
isn't like the
powerhouse,
exchange rate just terrible?
right? But you got to jack the exchange rate up. That's one of the things you can advance. I have a fully maxed Chompcraft station,
All right.
so it's pretty insane. You give them snacks, and they work better. It's super. It's a.
But you also don't need the currency.
no, you don't
in
need.
the
You
main
don't,
game.
it doesn't do
right?
anything. It's just for fun.
Well, I mean, in like the main game, you're going to have so much money coming out of your ass.
Yeah, I
from
had
the
billions.
grinding that. Yeah.
Like stupid
Billions
amounts
out of his ass.
Yeah, I got the merchant skill that lets you get more gold after every battle, and then I jack it up to 4 times multipliers. So like, yeah,
You're sitting
it was
pretty,
crazy.
Dan.
Yeah,
he is.
yeah, I had so much money in that game. It was ridiculous.
So, I mean, seems like you would recommend this game.
I would, but again, the story Jeff's not wrong. The story is abysmal. It is a trash can. Like, just skip through all of it.
It is, and it has this tongue in cheek, kind of humor
I wish
throughout
they
it,
ripped that tongue out.
which is fine. But then they try and do dramatic stuff, and it just totally falls flat. 'cause
It's a very schizophrenic game. Like,
Yeah.
there's very serious things going on. Your people will make these stupid jokes. It's
And
just like,
there's-
are you for real? Get
and
outta
there's
here.
so much text during dialogue.
like we're all
like,
like sometimes you have
every
to skip through like 8
conversation
or
is
9
like 10
scenes.
times
Sounds
longer
like this
than it needs to be.
conversation.
Yeah.
What'd you end up giving this?
7.5 because the gameplay is actually really good. And when you start getting all the different job classes and you mix them together and add in like the secondary abilities and stuff, like all that's really cool.
It's got an FF5 vibe to it, man. Like just job specialization classes. Really fun in
Dan,
that regard.
What if we took FF5 and we added the 4 of us and we got FF9? What are your thoughts on Final Fantasy 9, Dan Tag?
I do like 9. It's not in my top 5 or anything, but I think
Okay.
it's in the top half.
Top half.
Yeah.
All right, that's all we could ask for. But that
We're
game.
just gonna let that fly.
It's
That
fine.
was terrible.
Shut up, you idiot.
I mean,
But Final
sure.
Fantasy
If you
9,
want to get into a Final Fantasy war here, we'll do it.
it came out on Steam
It did.
last week.
It did.
And
I have not played the new version.
So yeah, it came out on iOS a little while ago,
Right.
and now it's out on Steam. I booted up, played like the first hour and a half because I haven't played it since it first came out.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Especially going from 7 to 9, this version of 9 looks so good. And I know people are kind of hit and miss on the character design. I think it's quirky and weird, and I think it looks really great on an HD screen. Like the character models hold up so well. I mean, especially compared to 7, where it's like, hey, here's 4 polygons for Cloud.
Sure.
Have fun.
Yeah, 9's a weird one for me because I think I can only look at it in context when I first played it. I have not played it since then, and it's always like 8 was kind of a down note for a lot of people then. Now it's more appreciated.
Yeah.
But I think 9 was like, oh, this is good again. Let's go back into it.
Yeah.
Sort of kind of thing.
We're going back to the roots. And a lot of that, I think, remember the whole marketing was like, hey, the crystal's back, everybody.
Yeah.
And the director of 9, I found out recently visiting Square Enix, he worked on the first Final Fantasy. He's been there for the entire run. So obviously he was more propelled to bring it
Sure.
back. Also, weird thing I didn't know about Final Fantasy 9's development that I learned while visiting Square Enix over there for the Final Fantasy 15 cover story is, like, we met so many developers and they'd kind of list off the stuff they'd worked on, or we just talked to them casually in between interviews and stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, I worked on 6 and 7 and 8 and 10 and then a little bit of 12. And everyone skipped 9. And it was really odd where it's like, where are the people that worked on 9? So I asked somebody. Turns out 9 was largely developed in Honolulu at the studio where they made Spirits Within.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that bizarre?
That is really weird.
And so they're talking about how it just had a slightly different vibe because of that development studio kind of moved at a different pace. And especially like this old school designer who then ended up being the lead of Final Fantasy 9. That's maybe one of the reasons why it is so different for that PlayStation run of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Jeff Markifava, Jeff Cork,
I can see that.
Final Fantasy 9, any thoughts?
Never played it.
Next
right.
topic.
The most high-profile black mage in the series, I believe.
Honolulu.
VV is really great. The intro for that game, I forgot how much it jumps between characters, but I think it does a really good job of setting up those distinct personalities, which is something we've talked about in regards to Final Fantasy before, and I'm sure we will again. But let's move on to something that we're all gung-ho about. Over the moon, best game ever, hyperbolic Dan Tack. Let's talk about Banner Saga 2.
Oh, I don't think I've ever said that about it.
I know. Tell us about Banner Saga 2.
I
man.
won't say it's fine either. It's a very mixed. It was a very mixed experience for me.
God damn it.
It has
everything.
It has killer. Like, I love the the awesome artwork and cool environments, great music, awesome like just Norse everything. Very one of the new characters, Bulwark the Berserker. He's not new. He was in the first one, but you just got a glimpse of him first. He is actually the coolest thing about this particular installment of the trilogy.
Trilogy?
He's a crazy berserker. Yeah, it's a 3-part game.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So he's a crazy berserker guy, and his whole crew, the Ravens, is sort of balanced about making him godlike. Like, it's all a support group and him. He just cuts through things and doesn't care about it, and like his shield bearers and bards all like buff him up to make him even more of a psychopathic brute.
That seems all right.
Yeah, he's cool. And then the other part of the game is the other caravan, that you pick up where the first game left off. So your choices in the first game do carry over if you want to import them.
Okay.
So characters that are dead will stay dead, etc.
And just
Or you
to
can
just
start a new
remind
file.
people, Ben Reeves talked about this a little while ago. He had a feature in the magazine about the opening hours and talking to the developers and stuff. But this is tactical strategy RPG,
Very tactical.
a little bit Oregon Trail.
Think Norse XCOM meets Oregon Trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Not quite like that, but that's the best, quick
Gotcha.
analogy we can do. So those parts of the game I really enjoyed. And then other parts I thought took a backseat to the first one. The first one's story and choices that you make along the way I thought were very good. In this, they felt a little hollow. Like, oh, here's another group of peasants. You want to take them on the caravan or kill them? I don't know. Kill them. Oh, your people, morale declined and you lost people. Why? I don't know. Because you made a bad choice. Okay. Well, I'll take them on the caravan. Oh, they stole some food and ran away. Well, them.
Is that not how it works in the first one?
The choices that you make are a little bit more less black and white. Like there's just too many encounters in this one. They're like, you encounter a woman and some children. Do you take them on a caravan? Okay, whatever. Next encounter. Oh, you encounter more homeless people. What do you want to do? It's like, how many freaking homeless people are on this route? Come on, we're in a cave.
It seems like they're missing the point of having those like moral dilemma decisions that people
Right.
like in games like Walking Dead or Mass Effect, and it relies on a little bit of foreplay.
Well, I want
bit of
to
context.
stress they do still have those, but they're
Okay.
at big story junctures, like chapter endings.
Gotcha.
But the ones along the way are very rote, and they do not feel like they have the resonance that they did in the first game. So it's just like, get these out of the way. Let's get to the more meaningful stuff.
Okay.
And I also thought the combat still suffers. They did a much better job than the first one. It's not 20 fights of Dredge back to back, the same encounters, the same enemies, the same strategies. They did a good job mixing that up a little bit, but it's still a little bit, still needs work.
Still needs work. Well, there's still a third entry for it.
There is.
So you had a good time with this game.
And I do
overall,
expect
though.
the finale will be more impressive than this sort of middle note.
Okay.
Yes.
That said, I mean, you gave it what? 8.5?
An 8.5.
That's pretty good.
There's a lot good going for it.
Okay. What's the best thing going for it?
The environments and sound. Yeah.
Sound.
Yeah. Austin Wintory's soundtrack just flows with the game very well.
Oh, interesting. Austin Wintory, he's worked on, is he the Journeyman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
He is an old
He's
journeyman.
the journeyman.
Yeah. What's this thing on? What's it
It's
on?
currently only on PC, but I believe it is scheduled for other platforms as well.
iOS?
No, wait, maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
I actually don't know what other platforms it's supposed to be on at this point.
Oh, that's fine. But for strategy fans, they should keep an eye on it.
Right, if you're into tactical RPGs, yeah, absolutely. Story-driven tactical RPGs. But I would still say to play the first one before getting into this.
Really?
For sure, yeah. You have no context for a lot of the characters and the goings-on without it. So normally I'd say just jump right in, and you can, but this is a story-based game, and without that, you're going to be lost.
Does it let you simulate decisions?
Yep, you can simulate everything that happened up into it, like other games of this nature.
Yeah.
You can be like, here's the persons that survived from the first one.
Okay.
And build it up like that, but you're going to encounter other characters and be like, what just happened? I don't really, these people are talking, they seem to have a history. I don't know. Oh, okay, whatever.
And then all your decisions.
And if you
are
want to
basically
do that,
gonna
it's
be
fine. You can bravely default and skip through all the
It's
story.
what?
Yeah,
It's fine?
I said that decision is fine. I didn't say the game was fine.
Oh.
Fantastic.
Come on, take a
Get out of
stand.
Have an
here.
opinion, you coward.
Ooh, what's it going to be?
Great or terrible? Let's go, baby.
That's right.
Say when.
All right, but recommended.
Yeah, with some caveats. Like, just don't jump into this if you're looking for a shooter. I mean, this is a slow game. This is a slow strategy game.
Slow strategy game. Vikings. Got it.
Lots of good stuff going for it, but know what you're getting into.
Hey, if you are looking for a shooter, there was an
It's not a racing game, okay? It's not
Okay.
Viking go-karts.
God willing, there will be a Viking go-karts one day.
We've always wanted it.
But last weekend, there's an open beta for a little game called Battleborn.
A little game. That's a big game.
A little game from our friends down at Gearbox, Borderlands developers.
I could talk for hours on this.
Okay, I would love to, because Jeff, you and I went on that cover story trip. You played a little
did.
bit more. After the cover story
Yeah.
trip, Dan Tack has played a little bit. This is, oh God, how do they describe it?
I don't know, but I want to start something. I want to say something first, and that Overwatch and Battleborn are very different games. I am so
I
tired of
disagree.
seeing them in the same sentence. The differences are staggering.
It's a first-person hero shooter, is basically
They both are.
how this thing
But the
works
mechanics
out.
are completely different.
Okay, but Dan Tech has been on this crusade in the office for the last, I don't know, 5 months, being like, there's no relation. These two games, night and
It's
day.
like saying like Final Fantasy is like shining in the darkness. There's zero comparison between these games, even though they're both party-based RPGs.
They're first-person perspective games
Mm-hmm.
with really abstract, wacky characters that all have a crazy range of abilities. I think that puts
you
them
fight
in a
against
very
another team.
Yeah, name 4 other games that are like that. Like it's a very
Sure.
Go for it.
What, Paragon, right?
Oh, well, now you're just naming MOBAs, baby. I mean, that's completely not related.
You're right. It's not to Overwatch, but it is
Okay.
to Battleborn.
Sure. All right. Gigantic. I'll help you out.
Thank you.
But do they have distinct characters in
Paladins?
Gigantic?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
It's hero based, just
All
like
right,
all these other
hero-based.
games. Yeah,
Are they first-person shooters?
character based. I mean,
No.
some of them are third.
Exactly my point.
All right, let's just get on to the Battleborn discussion. Because
No. This is the interesting debate. Why do you think that they are being lumped together? Why is that not fair?
you are correct that on the surface level, at a surface glance,
Yes.
sure. But like, come on, Battleborn has like leveling up and equipment and these other things that Overwatch simply doesn't.
Right.
Including campaign and these other things. Overwatch is strictly a 6v6 with no leveling. You start with all your abilities. That's it. It's an objective-based game.
But there's
no
still-
creeps. There's no bases.
But there's still leveling. I mean, you're making.
There is no leveling. There's a count level
That's not-
progression.
yeah, exactly.
That gives you cosmetics only. And
All right, there we go. That's
in
leveling. man.
Battleborn, the leveling directly ties to the abilities you can currently use and have access to.
It's much more MOBA-like, where each round it'll reset and you're kind of
Right.
unlocking
And you
stuff
level
along
up,
the way.
and that does not happen in Overwatch at all.
Okay. Outside of that minor
Those
leveling,
are huge differences.
It's just a different type of leveling.
No.
I
no,
think-
they're nothing alike.
So you don't think that there's any competition in this market whatsoever between those two
I think
games?
there is, but I think a lot of it is because of just ignorance on the consumer part on the difference of these two games.
Okay. Is part of your
I'm not saying that like as a jab. I'm saying like there's just like this overlap. People look at it at a glance and say, well, they're both first-person hero-based shooters. They must be the same. And they are not at all.
does the passion for this topic come from the fact that you're really hot on Overwatch and you're really excited about it, and you're not hot on Battleborn?
I'm hot on both games for different reasons because to me, they are very different games. Not where it's like the
They're
rest of the
different
internet where
games.
it's like
very different is
where it's
pushing
like,
it.
well, they are very different.
They're technically different games, but
They're not
there's a lot
technically.
of similarities
They are
there.
insanely different. Maybe it's only because I'm so into MOBA and TF2 and these
It
other
could be.
games.
Is it like
Could
a
be.
Battlefield
These
Call of
differences
Duty
are enormous.
situation?
Not even close. And see, that's the argument that I think that
Yeah,
being
more
made
different
here.
than that.
Street Fighter Tekken?
More different than that. I would say very easily.
Really? Stardew Valley,
There
Harvest
is
Moon?
equipment in Battleborn, for God's sakes. Equipment, like Diablo-style looting.
Okay.
There's
Kind
no
of.
equipment in...
Look, there's some microscopic differences between these two. I
These
think
are
we're on the
enormous
same page here.
differences.
Okay, but compare your enthusiasm for these two games.
Well, neither game is out at this time, so I don't
Yeah,
think we're
but you've been running around the
judging
office like
Now
waving your
who's
hands in the air like a wavy
equivocating?
tube man,
I would-
screaming about how excited you
them.
are for Overwatch.
Overwatch is easily one of the best games I'll play this year,
Already,
if not the best.
because you've already been playing a lot of it.
Tons of it.
Yeah, for sure. And Battleborn is
Battleborn is an interesting take that I think I'll be playing with a different team, with a different audience completely. The people that I like, who liked, Borderlands and like that kind of thing, I'm sure will gang up and take on campaign challenges.
See, I don't know about that though. As a Borderlands fan, it's not hitting the same notes for me.
okay. What did you
Because-
play? You didn't play the open beta, but you played some of the basic content before that.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of similar stuff. Tak and I did a couple of the story missions.
Okay.
We sure did.
Yeah,
Did you play as that mushroom man?
I played as the Mushroom Man.
he plays
Miko?
the Mushroom Man.
I played as the Mushroom Guy.
Yeah, I played as a wrestler, and another guy in kind of like this hovercraft, like a Professor X guy.
Okay. See, I think that's fun. Even on the cover story, I was a big fan of the character design.
I do think that is the best part of the game that I've seen so far, and the coolest part is like, holy crap, there are a ton of characters. They all have different abilities. You can level them all up as you're playing. Like, that's cool. I don't know that the format for where like the levels that you're going into aren't doing it for me in the way that like a Borderlands open world does for me, and the loot as well.
But it seemed like you were, you're feeling pretty good after the cover story. It seemed like you had a good time. We played a lot of it, just the versus mode down there in Texas.
Yeah.
And it seemed like you were like, yeah, I could get in this. This is fun. So it's just the structure of the campaign stuff that's turning you off?
Yeah, I'm still undecided on the PvP because I haven't played any more of that since the first cover story trip, and it did seem at the time very promising.
Yeah.
And I think that's still there, but now you got Overwatch, and I'm sorry, I know Dan doesn't like that, but if I'm going to play a team-based PvP shooter,
A first-person cartoony character-based
yes,
shooter?
with a
completely
ton of
different
different
mechanics.
characters, yeah, the leveling up to me doesn't isn't going to factor into my decision of which one I'm going to want to play.
I heard you can actually just use one controller and sync it up with both games if you have two
Yeah, pretty
TVs,
much.
and you can just play both at the same time because they're so identical in every conceivable way.
Yeah.
All right, so the actual campaign, checking it out over the weekend, the open beta stuff, it felt a lot more. It's not like a structured Borderlands campaign or anything like that. It feels like Destiny Strikes. Like
Yeah.
you're choosing Destiny Strikes,
exactly
and they
what it
layer
feel
in
like.
a bunch of personality into these Destiny style strikes.
Oh,
Is that your read?
I think you're right that they feel like Destiny Strikes. I didn't get the personality read on it at all.
Really?
Yeah,
I
didn't
thought
get
what
as
we
much
played
as
was
you.
pretty boring.
Okay, maybe you might have read it as boring, but in the version you played, I mean, they had a ton of like character talking and a
Did they?
lot of. Maybe this is just for the open beta, but the mission that I played, it was like in a snow area, and there's a giant spider boss.
Yeah, we did that.
towards the middle of it.
We did that.
There wasn't an obsessive amount of blathering going on in the background when you played it.
Maybe I just tuned it out.
That seems impossible.
I wouldn't say an obsessive amount. There was like some script stuff happening during,
Okay.
like the spider battle and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we had to figure out how to kill a boss. You're right. It felt almost exactly like a Destiny Strike.
Yeah.
like, in every way.
That seems to be the model. But that was my big takeaway is like Aaron Lindy, formerly of Destructoid, he's the writer down there. We did an interview with him on the cover story trip. And then playing this, story thing for the open beta, I was like, holy crap, is there a lot of talking in this? It feels like there's a constant radio play going on where there's not like characters really that you're interacting with too much in the actual mission itself. It's just audio and characters, and they're really, it's one of those things where it's written and presented in a way as if you're just absorbing a radio play. But when you're trying to play this action game, it's basically a shooter, and it's just like slightly distracted by like, what are they talking about now? I guess I lost my train of thought for 10 seconds. Now I can't keep up with what's happening with these characters. It seems like they really are pushing this wacky personality thing hard through the audio and through the character design. And I don't know if it's a bit much.
It is an action game.
It is.
It's actually based on actual Japanese history.
Is that right?
That's right.
Oh my gosh, Dantek, go on about this. You seem to know a lot about
No,
it.
that's really. I just had to slide that in there.
Yeah. But I feel
Seamless.
like it seems like the enthusiasm for Battleborn's kind of cooling. And
See, the thing is-
I still think there is.
Hang on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think some of that has to do with the stupid Overwatch and Battleborn battle or whatever the heck you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like, I can only get one shooter, but they're just so different. Like I can see myself playing with a completely different crew, Battleborn, and enjoying it
Yeah.
than the team that I play Overwatch with. The completely two different worlds for me.
I hear
And
you.
maybe you're right. Maybe that is just me. I don't know.
But, I mean, you talk about being a Borderlands fan, Jeff Markifava.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a fan of Borderlands and you don't mind like a Destiny Strike structure to the missions, there's probably a lot of fun you can have with this game.
Sure. Yeah. It ultimately comes down to why you liked Borderlands and like how much of the appeal was going out into this giant open world and doing what you wanted to at any given time. But if you're also a Destiny fan or even maybe an MMO fan who likes raid, like focused on raids, then I'm not by any means like writing this off for everyone or saying that it's a bad game or anything like that. But in terms of my own personal interests in what I like in shooters and what I like of what Gearbox has done in the past, something's not clicking for me so far.
What do you like, Jeff? And what is your favorite game of the year so far?
That's a good question. Maybe Dark Souls.
That's a good
Dantek?
pick.
Dark Souls?
Yeah,
Where's Clash Royale?
right under it.
Really?
Yeah.
Dark Souls 1, Clash Royale 2?
Darkest Dungeon is before Clash, but
Interesting.
3.
Jeff Cork, game of the year so far.
I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right.
What are you talking about?
I don't have to tell you.
Oh, this
You
is
really
such a
should.
Secret.
Star
namby-pamby
Fox Zero,
podcast.
bold.
Star Fox
Bold
Zero.
chance.
It's fine.
It's fine. Go get it.
Stardew Valley, obviously, is the answer. But do you guys want to move on to some reader emails?
Do I,
would
want
love
to?
it.
Let's do it.
Want or yeah, sure.
All right, you goobers, we got some hot emails from listeners and viewers. People
Are they
send in
sizzling?
emails. Sizzling, scorching, can't even turn up this paper. Turn up? Anyways, you send an email to podcast@GameInformer.com, and then when we're going to read all this stuff, at the end, we're going to choose our favorite email of the week. The one that stood out head and shoulders above everything else, and then we're going to ship them out something real nice.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Has anyone submitted a reader question via snail mail?
No.
Could somebody do that? What's that address, Ben Hansen?
I don't really know.
What's that
know.
intro? I don't know.
You can look it up. What is this, a magazine or something? For
Go to the
Christ's sake.
website.
Yeah,
All right.
come on.
Anyway,
We
But
probably got an
Jeff,
address
give
on
your
it.
plug for the actual magazine feedback.
Send an email to feedback@gameinformer.com because I don't get enough letters anymore.
And that's to be in the actual magazine.
Yes,
But if you
in
want to be
print.
on the podcast, which is so much better than any magazine, it's
Yeah.
podcast@gameinformer.com.
Come on, print lasts forever.
That's right. These podcasts
You'll
are
have
very
that issue.
fleeting.
You can put it in a piece of glass.
on the bottom of my
Frame it.
bird cage, we're wrapping a fish.
Derek Avery writes in and says, "Hello, GI crew. Do you have a favorite game trailer or a game trailer that you can't stop rewatching? My favorite trailers in the past couple months are the Dark Souls 3 launch trailer and the Battleborn Boot Camp trailer. I didn't see the Battleborn Boot Camp trailer, but I know Gearbox has really prided itself on its trailers.
Yeah.
They do good trailers.
Dantec, seems
Yeah,
like you're...
I got one. It was I
yeah,
think
baby.
the E3 Metal Gear Solid 5 trailer, right? The one,
This last,
the big one, the one that was like
like the one with Nuclear as the song?
no, the one before that, right?
Did it have... Oh,
Yes, yes, that one.
Okay,
That's
I
the
think that
one.
was a couple years ago.
It was a
yeah.
couple years ago, but man, that one. I think I rewatched that one like 50 times.
It's real- What? I didn't know you were a Metal Gear guy.
Yeah. Well, now you know.
Did you play Metal Gear 5? If you could buy a disc and just put it in and it loops the Whoa-Ho trailer, that's what you want, you weirdo?
Hey, you asked me what trailer I like. That's the trailer I like.
Why didn't you play Metal Gear Solid 5?
I'm gonna get around to it one day if you guys would stop making me play Banner Saga 2.
Well, you got to get around to Stardew Valley, too, you
that
idiot.
I know.
All right, I have a bunch. I like game trailers a lot. Let's see. Launch trailer for Mass Effect 2. Even though it contains spoilers, and Donald Trump recently retweeted a twisted version of it, the Mass Effect 2 launch trailer is amazing. It has the song it's called like From Hell or something, but it's also the Nathan For You, which is the greatest Comedy Central show. The song used in that intro, that's the same song that they used in the Mass Effect 2 launch trailer.
Oh wow, I need
But-
to watch that again.
Is that why you like it so much?
Nathan For You?
That is why.
No, that trailer.
Oh, no, because this is before Nathan For You. But it's just, that song is a huge part of it. It gets you so pumped. But they show scenes from the very end of Mass Effect 2.
Spoilers.
Like, they show, like, Tali dying in, like, the final dungeon if,
Spoilers.
you want
Wow.
to.
Not my Tolly.
It's-
Come on,
an
it's only been
option.
20 years.
It's an option that can theoretically happen. Also, one that I just watched over the weekend and was reminded by how good it was is the Michael trailer for GTA 5. Of course, all of Rockstar's trailers are amazing, but this is the one with Radio Gaga from Queen, and he's like talking to the therapist.
Yep, that's
He's
a great
like,
one.
I'd say you have a penchant for recklessness or something,
Yeah.
or for destruction. He goes, I don't know if that's true, Doc. It's so good. On the same note, Red Dead Redemption's I'm John Marston trailer,
Yep.
so good. Oh, that's the one where he goes into the sheriff's office or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, I'm here to capture or kill Bill Williamson." And the sheriff goes, "Okay." The highlight of my life was
Okay.
on the Just Cause 3 cover story trip. Somebody on the Just Cause 3 development team edited that trailer, and I happened to bring it up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I edited that." It's like, what? Like, he used to be at Rockstar, and I just got to gush over him and figure out exactly how that whole marketing thing works.
Gross. Hope you gave him a towel.
That's true. After that, also, Smash Brothers Wii U. All those trailers are amazing.
You're supposed to pick one.
I don't care. The Mega Man reveal trailer from E3 2013, maybe. So good. Also, the Little Mac reveal trailer.
Little Mac reveal trailer is really quite great.
Any stand out for you guys?
Fallout 3. That initial one where it's like inside the vehicle and you hear the radio is playing and then it pulls back.
Is the world on fire? Is that
All that stuff. Yeah.
okay? Yeah.
I think that's great.
All right, up there.
I like all the stuff the Blizzard's doing for their hero shooter. If we call those.
Are we calling those?
we already,
those are like
we
mini
already
cine-
mentioned the Battleborn Bootcamp trailer.
No, I
think that
agree
kinda
with
covers it.
you 100%. You're talking about like I don't consider those trailers. Those are like what shorts?
Yeah, the short films that for Overwatch. They released 2 or 3.
2 right now.
God, I haven't seen that second one, but the first one was really
Wait, you
good.
didn't see the Widowmaker one?
No,
it's
no.
incredible.
Yeah, you should watch it.
All right, I should watch it.
It's
Jeff,
not a trailer though. Just keep that in mind.
No, we did good. We settled Rockstar one, so let's
great.
go on.
All right, we got let's see, Ramses Garcia of LA. Now that MPDs have come out and we found out that Pokken Tournament has outsold Street Fighter V in 13 days, will Capcom continue to support it long term?
Yes.
I think yes.
Yeah.
I think they were probably ashamed. Is that a fair word?
I think that might be too strong.
Okay, but there's been a negative outlash against Street Fighter V,
They-
lack
they-
of content. They're very aware they need to keep patching that
I
thing.
think that's fair that they're aware. Yes, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
ashamed.
And the reason that like people are upset is because the game is not finished.
Right.
So they're in that weird position where it's kind of like, well, they can't judge the finished product because they don't have it. So we're just going to continue. And obviously, they've committed to.
They'll trickle out stuff
Yeah.
for a while. Guile's in the game now. What more do you want?
And we should also mention that those are based on NPD numbers, which don't count online sales
Right.
through the store. Which
How
I'm-
relevant is NPD anymore?
Yeah, it's just kind of a
Honestly,
fraction. I mean, if
that's
you
a
want to talk
different
about
question.
online sales, though, Street Fighter V, according to Steam Spy, there.
Oh boy,
Do you like Steam Spy?
I do.
Spy?
With Steam Spy, yeah, it's good for a broad assessment.
Okay. Well, according to Steam Spy, 160,000 copies of Street Fighter V have sold.
That's it.
So, yeah, not great, not terrible. Somewhere in the middle. I'm curious how it sold on PS4. But moving on. Jeremy writes in and says, the Uncharted series is presumably concluding with the upcoming 4th entry. Upcoming game club, everybody. This will leave Tomb Raider as the, quote, only joint in town pretty soon. With all the love the public has for treasure hunters like Indiana Jones, do you think there is enough room in the gaming space for a new Globe Trekker?
Yes.
Globe Trekker.
The answer is yes. Even with it ending, something else will rise.
Rise of the Tomb Raider. indeed.
That's
Do
what I was
we-
going for.
Do we really need more people in that mold, though? Like, we have Lara Croft. There's so many adventure games, or just games in general, are like, hey, hopping from one adventure to the next. But we need, like, the artifact hunting stereotype. Is that really that appealing in gaming?
Let's just get Indiana Jones in there.
I think it depends on more on the gameplay too. Like, do we want another linear third-person kind of action cover shooter thing, or could you have an adventure that was in some kind of crazy RPG game?
You want an Indiana Jones RPG?
Sure.
Okay.
Doesn't that sound good? You could have Short Round as one of your party members.
I'm liking this.
All right.
Beautiful.
Writes itself. We have one detail. Not bad. All right. We got Josh from Rutland, Vermont. He writes in and says, Dear GI crew, I just purchased a Super Nintendo and need your help. The only game I own is Super Mario World, and I definitely want to expand my Super Nintendo collection in a hurry. However, I live in Vermont, and there are hardly any used game stores, and many of the classic games online are too expensive. Any advice or tips would be greatly appreciated.
Buy 100 copies of Super Mario World.
No advice I can give on a show.
What does that mean?
That's what it means.
He's saying to
Black
some
market
kind of
attack. Come on.
stick-up job.
Are you saying he should rob people?
No,
for
I'm not
cash?
saying that at all.
Are you
I'm
promoting
saying
that?
there are ways to play classic games.
Are you saying dig a tunnel
He's saying he's
underneath
not
a
saying
store?
that.
I'm saying there might be ways to play classic games.
All right, Josh, here's an idea.
Virtual console.
Exactly. Sell your Super Nintendo, buy a new 3DS. Right? The new 3DS, you can play Super Nintendo classic games. They have Super Metroid, they have Mario World. There's just going to be more and more on there. Through the GBA stuff, you could have a lot of weird ports that way. Or just buy a Wii U if you don't already own one, or a Wii for Christ's sake, and you can play all these Super Nintendo games for cheap. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Just go Virtual Console. Like, if you really want that controller feel in your hand, I don't know. I'm sorry. Super Nintendo controller is not comfortable.
Yes, it is.
Nah, it's not great.
Well,
It was a fine
It
control.
was a
think it
fine
was- I think it was
controller
pretty
back in
good.
the day, but
Yeah.
I'm saying I cannot imagine being in the year 2016 being like, I need to have that feel in my hand now. It's
That's
better
You'd
than
rather have
anything
the
else.
Wii remote?
I would absolutely wait.
Just get
the
the Wii
gamepad or the remote?
The Wii remote.
I would rather have a Wiimote and nunchuck
Oh,
for
give me
playing
a
Super
break.
Nintendo
That
games
thing
than a
is
Super
such a
Nintendo
piece of
controller.
crap.
You're so full of crap.
You are crazy.
Thank
You're
you.
dirty
Richard from
crap.
Georgia writes in. He says, so I turned 30 in June. I'm now married with 2 kids, blah, 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 blah. That's what he wrote. I'm not blahing his kids. I would
Okay.
never blah his kids. And my time for gaming has obviously been reduced dramatically. Do you ever foresee a comeback to the turn-based style RPG with an amazing storyline, which is his favorite?
there's all the time on PC, right? Like we got tons of those.
Get Undertale?
I mean, Banner Saga 2 is a great example.
Yeah, but that's strategy.
Are you're
nonsense.
looking for what?
I think
Turn-based.
Richard wants turn-based classic RPG,
So-
more JRPG vein.
Bravely Default.
I think Bravely Second is the way to go.
But what
But
was his last thing?
there was a caveat in there
There was the
Where it
storyline.
parts ways.
with an
a kick
amazing
ass.
storyline.
Oh crap! I forgot
So
about
get
that
yourself Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 4 and go to town.
part. Yeah, I mean, you could just go retro. You could get the great remake of 6 that's out on Steam.
I know a guy in
iOS
Vermont
port.
who's selling a SNES. Real cheap.
Yeah, but just go Undertale if you haven't played that.
There's got to be Kickstarters out there for classic RPGs.
Z-Boy Games,
There
you
are,
can
but none
stay
of
up to
them
date
are
on them. I mean, I think they're turning out
I mean,
a
hey,
lot
I
of
like
fine
Z-Boy
stuff.
games, and I think they are turning out good stuff. But
Okay.
I think it's been pretty weak in the story department.
Okay.
Those do try to bring the classic feel back for sure. But
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever been strong from a story's perspective.
Interesting. All right. He says, P.S. I just started listening to the podcast a couple months ago, and he's hooked. Now I just need recommendations for other podcasts when I finish the Game Informer show and I'm waiting for the next one to come out. Jeff Cork, podcast recommendations for Richard.
You want Comedy Bang Bang? I'm a really big fan of.
We love Comedy Bang Bang. It is a tough show to recommend. There's a lot of just weird, slow, terrible episodes. For sure, the best ofs at the year as a starting point.
So Hollywood Handbook, naturally.
That's another one that is a really tough recommendation comedically.
Okay,
Guys, you
I was
realize
there
he is
too.
watching this show, so
I would recommend. That's true. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it a lot. Gaming wise, I like Idle Thumbs a lot. I like 8-4 Play a lot, and a bunch of other stuff. But those are the two at the top of my stack. Anything for you guys?
I say the Giant Bombcast.
I listen to it every week. I'm a big fan.
Me too.
Yeah. We've never once talked about the Bombcast, Dan.
We have, actually.
Exactly my point. Anything else stand up for you guys you'd recommend?
nope.
Great. Okay. Hope you enjoy that, Richard. Charles from Greer, South Carolina says, so I was listening to the, quote, best cookie debate from a while back. Who can forget the best cookie debate?
I wasn't on with that.
And it reminded
I
me
know
of my
what you're talking
lifelong
about.
hatred of anything combining chocolate and mint. I was arguing that
Oh,
Thin
God,
Mints
that's
are the
so
best cookie.
good.
What?
Yeah.
I keep expecting to wake up from this bizarro world nightmare where everyone seems to not only tolerate chocolate and mint, but love it. This got me thinking. Is there anything, a food, a game, or whatever, that you just cannot understand what the hell's wrong with all these people who like it?
Onions, mushrooms.
Onions.
Jeff Cork waged a crusade in the office today against onion pizzas.
I'm on the onions and mushrooms train with Cork.
Yeah.
Anti-onion
Yeah,
mushroom?
absolutely.
Anti, for sure.
They're gross.
Mushrooms are just, I still am a picky eater, and as a kid, I hated mushrooms. They're just a nothing. They're fine. You
Just
can
a
cover...
musty
Yeah.
piece
No,
of
they're not
slime.
nothing. They
You
actually
can-
ruin whatever
disgusting.
they're on.
No, I
Yeah.
think it's all just a weird texture thing. Like, you could put a bunch of mushrooms on top of, like, a piece of toast with jelly on it. It wouldn't change the flavor one iota.
Yeah, would it be gross?
I'm with you, Hanson.
All right, thank you.
Maybe not on toast and jelly, but
Onions.
they're pretty nondescript.
Onions are devastating.
I
like
like
the- I
onions.
like the
Am I the only
flavor.
one who likes onions?
Yeah. Get the hell out of here.
No,
Come on.
No, but up there with this is Jeff Cork's sicko obsession with black licorice.
Yeah.
Like some
I also
sexual
like-
deviant.
I like black licorice as well.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's just, when you grab a handful of jelly beans or anything and you get 1 wad of black licorice in there, it ruins everything.
You
it's
don't
like
have
throwing
it
an
with
onion in the
other
mix.
things.
No.
Well, then
Just
they
have
shouldn't put it in the jelly bean stack. It should be a
that's a
separate
different
bag.
conversation, isn't it? Like,
So, what do you do when you buy like Jelly Bellies? Do you eat like that? Must blow your mind because there's like the buttered popcorn ones. And
Yeah, those
the
are
mint
gross.
ones.
Look, I hate all that novelty stuff. Just give me some fruit flavored jelly beans and call it a day. But
Okay.
what is the appeal of the black licorice garbage flavor?
it's black licorice.
Yeah.
It's a classic flavor.
So gay.
What would you take it over?
I don't know, a lot of things. It's pretty tasty.
If I had like a bag of that versus a bag of like Starburst jelly beans.
Yeah, I think I'd take the Starburst jelly beans. That doesn't mean I
Okay.
don't like the black licorice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you maniacs. Let's see. We got Andrew Best. He says, "Hi guys, you have a great show and enjoy listening every week. Thank you."
This is the best one. Let's make that the email of the week.
That's right. My real question is, how do you feel that the upcoming VR trend is likely to address realistic
Oh.
death in a game?
What does that mean?
Do you feel that potentially games could be too authentic and scary and put the user at legitimate health risk?
Good lord.
Saying like when you die in a VR game, he's
Yeah.
worried that people are gonna die in real life, or just feel that it's too intense.
Too intense.
So is it like when you die in a game, it should just go black, or it should take you to virtual heaven?
I
Depending
think
on
it
your
should
belief
it should be
system, it
one
should-
continuous stream. Yeah,
should
it
ask-
reads your religious experience
It's
and
like
then
a-
gravitates it towards that.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't think you have much to worry about.
I think it's a tough question to answer. We're not there yet. You know,
No.
we don't know what the effects of that are going to be.
Well, you
think
can
more-
die in games, and yeah, it's just, you
Yeah.
fade out to a game over. It's not
Right,
like,
but this
oh
is like-
Christ, I'm being lowered into a wood chipper.
let's say you're in a really immersive horror game, and that happens. It can be pretty psychologically damaging.
Horror games, yeah.
I mean, I could see it. I'm not saying it is, but
but is what's damaging in that? And I
It's
agree.
the
like,
jump scare, right?
That's exactly it. It's not like him getting your health bar down to 0. Like that's not the
Correct.
damaging part.
Yeah.
So I think it's a
I
little
think
twist of a
I
question.
think the real danger is not dying in the game. It is someone trying to get your attention while you're in VR
and you freak out.
and freak out,
yeah.
or
we've-
like a cat jumps
Yeah.
on your lap,
oh yeah.
Oh God.
or like
You just
something
crap
like
your
a
pants.
ceiling tile falls and a pipe bursts.
What's happening in your house? Cats and pipes.
The steam
chaos.
patch
Well, the thing is, you
falls
know,
off.
something like that will happen. Like as more and more people adopt VR,
There's going to be headlines.
there are.
Someone
Yeah.
wipes a booger on your forehead.
Constantly.
I don't think there'll be a headline for that, but yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
The craziest experience I've had in VR is with the Vive, which we haven't talked about on the show too much, but it's super impressive tech. Really, really expensive. But hey,
Nice.
check it out somehow. But on there's a game. I think it's also on Oculus, but with Vive, it's better because in the room VR. You actually can control where your hands are and everything like that.
Yeah.
But it's called Windlands. Have you guys checked that out yet?
Nope.
It's basically Spider-Man 2, where you're using your actual hands and like shooting basically ropes, webs, trying to like swing around environments. It is so insane. It's not a good game. It is janky as all hell. It's not even fine, Dan Tech. But in
Good. I'm
Windlands,
glad we're.
when you're swinging from tree to tree and like you're about to land back on the ground, my legs get shaky. It is like a crazy wobbling effect on your legs. It has such a, I hate to use the word visceral, but it is literally a visceral impact on me. It is over and above any VR
Visceral
experience.
action sequences.
That's right.
Well, there's set piece moments in this game.
No, there really aren't.
Okay.
But what's crazy is like, one of my friends tried it out and he was playing it for like half an hour and he's like, oh, this is pretty intense, but I can keep playing it. Another one of my friends checked it out after me. He played it for 2 minutes and he just literally said, I can't do this, and took the VR helmet off. Like, this is too much. It's making my legs want to crumble to the floor. But why I bring that up with this question in particular is because you're swinging around and you can also fall off the edge. It's not that bad. Like, you have more of a impact on your body when you're like landing on the ground or swinging around, but once you like go flying off the edge, it doesn't necessarily feel like you're falling forever. It's just kind of like, okay, now here's this part until I wait that I respawn. So that was my thought on death in VR. Hello, GI crew. Let's see, this is Justin in Michigan. He says, should we be expecting a new round of games like Endless Ocean and Africa in VR? And if so, would you be okay with that?
I would like those things.
I like both those games.
Yeah.
Especially Africa, because I'm a huge Pokemon Snap fan. So it's like, Pokemon Snap on PS3? There we go.
A huge Pokemon Snap fan, though.
Who
really?
at this table is not a huge Pokemon Snap fan?
Huge?
Are you a fan,
I think it's fine.
Jeffem?
It's fine.
Great. There we go.
Huge fans all around.
Are you guys looking forward to kind of some more relaxed, experimental?
I think that stuff is what's going to drive VR.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the
Yes.
average consumer.
Yep.
average consumer. So it's like tourism stuff, you mean?
Yeah, go to the Mall of
Absolutely.
America.
Just think about it, like tour the Louvre in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
not
that.
even simulated stuff, just, filmed in 360 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the lab for Vive right now, they have a little thing where it's like, oh, you can jump around these mountains in Peru, or here's Mount Rainier. We've simulated this stuff, and it's okay for 2 minutes.
It's like the obvious match for social as it is now. You just log on to Facebook and go explore the Andes or something crazy like that. It'll happen. And that's the only way it's going to happen for the consumer market.
Did you see at that Facebook convention that video that they posted of what they're experimenting with Oculus?
Didn't see it.
I posted it in Game Informer Slack channel saying, "Hey, everybody, check this out. It's important."
That's why I didn't look at it.
That's
usually
exactly
a
right.
red flag.
But it's definitely worth searching out. At a recent Facebook convention, conference, whatever it is, they showed this video that somebody was just filming from the crowd, and you can see what they're experimenting with social. And it's basically just, the other person that you're interacting with kind of just looks like a Boo from Mario or something. Just a floating head and two hands, which is nothing like a Boo now that I think about it. But they do cool stuff where like they draw out a tie with a pencil and then like pin it on the other person, and then they have this environment, and then they have a bunch of 3D photos that look like the orbs that are in the lab demo, if you've seen that with the Vive. And then you just take these orbs of like, hey, here's my 3D photo of London, and put it over your face, and then you're in London. And you can look around, absorb all that stuff, and they even have a feature where you can take a selfie, so it'll make you look like you're in that environment. It was a cool demo of what Facebook is thinking about with social VR.
You better believe they're thinking, that's exactly what I was saying.
But no one's going to draw a tie and then put it on someone else.
I don't know.
They will
Drawing
for
a
the
die's pretty
selfies.
fun.
Selfies drive everything that happens.
Imagine
tie,
Mitomo,
Dan?
but with their actual faces, where you can just put yourself in any environment and draw whatever you want on your
Court knows what I'm
face.
talking about. Yeah, it's not going to be a tie that people are putting on your face.
a big wiener.
Well, it'll
on
be
your
everything.
face.
The
There you go.
ties will be included.
you.
Not everyone. is
Ties
just
and
all about
wieners. We
throwing-
take all kinds.
A tie on a wiener, maybe.
That'll definitely happen.
Hello, Game Informer people, says Isaac B. I recently purchased a new PC. I've never owned a gaming PC and have always had a PlayStation console. How do you decide which system to play on when buying new games? If a game is available on both, which do I choose? I thoroughly enjoyed the Pokemon Spectacular, he says, by the way. Even though I do not play Pokemon, those Dota and or LOL characters were hilarious, especially with Dan Tack saying them. P.S. Where the heck is Kim? You should make her co-host. Thank you for listening to the podcast.
All of the above.
Yes, Kim, she'll be on soon.
So on the topic of PC ports, you should you should absolutely check to see what the reception is first, because
Yes.
a lot of the time, if you've got the rig for it, it will absolutely be better on PC.
100%.
But you have to be aware that developers outsource sometimes the other version of the game and all kinds of other stuff. So make sure that it actually functions before jumping in. Most of the time, you're in for a much better experience on PC. I would find in my experience.
Yeah, for sure.
But be careful. Watch out for those those Batmans and stuff.
Watch out for the Batmans.
You got to be careful.
It is a black and white thing, though.
Yes.
I'm with you, though. It's either going to be a better experience with more graphics options,
Or it's going to be a shoddy port, and you need to know which one you're getting before you jump in.
Steam reviews are incredibly helpful.
They are.
If they're off the charts negative, there's probably a reason.
Now they will be careful. Take those with a little grain of salt because if it's an early access title or stuff like that, and something isn't to the liking, they can railroad it, and that has happened. But you're right. As a general indicator of hot or cold, absolutely.
Yeah, you have a PS4.
I sure do.
What games do you play on PS4? Like, would you
Bloodborne?
ever choose PS4 over? Do you ever just want that more relaxed couch environment for gaming instead of PC?
No.
All right,
His PC monitor is bigger than his TV is.
That's correct.
it's bigger than my apartment. Cork, do you play much on PC?
I am in the process of. I think I'm going to build a new PC, so I will be soon.
You're going to be joining the new wave.
The new wave.
Yeah, it's a new technology.
God, I can't wait for you to play Stardew Valley. Cork.
So that actually leads me to my question.
yeah.
When I do that, how do I know what games to play? Like, should I be playing on console? Is it better on PC? What do you recommend?
Well, we have a hot scoop for you. It's kind of like a black or white situation. You
Okay.
can kind of look
Didn't we
and
disclose
see.
this?
And
I
see
think
which
that my
one's gonna be
question
better.
is the question of the week.
God, Cork, I really like your question.
It's
really
really
it's a
a
good
good
one.
question.
You were just asking me about game trailers earlier today as well.
All right.
Hey, what do you guys think? Question of the week.
Oh boy.
That was it?
No. I'm not saying that should be it.
No, I mean that's
that's
the
it.
question. All right. Huh.
What do you guys think? Which one stood out?
I don't know. Death in VR. That was a weird one.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the most unusual.
Yeah. We gave it to a VR question last week.
Okay, then screw that.
Sorry.
Well, I get to talk about how much we hate mushrooms and onions.
Not again.
Yeah, but that guy was against Thin Mint cookies.
Yeah,
That's
cannot,
true.
absolutely cannot
Immediate
reward that
disqualification.
You
behavior.
really can't do it. I like game trailers, but that's because I'm especially passionate about it.
You got really like
decent
animated.
one.
Yeah, that kind of turned me off on the question when
Yeah.
you said like 10 different.
When I enjoyed it too much.
You listed like 8 of them.
Which ones do you guys like?
What else was in there?
Oh, gosh. All right.
What was the one about video games?
There's
Use that
Super
one.
Nintendo one asking how he's going to play Super Nintendo games. Street Fighter 5. We got RPG, Best Cookie.
Man, where
let's
did you
see.
get these questions this week, Hanson?
I got them from podcast@GameInformer.com. People sending stuff in
That's
there.
a good place.
The one about games like Africa and Endless Ocean. I'm
I
giving it
liked
to
that
the.
one.
What's that?
I liked that one.
Is everyone like that one?
You
I
seem like
only
you have
like-
a strong
I only-
opinion.
Is
That's
that
also
another
VR.
VR question?
That's
though?
also VR.
It is. I say trailers. Giving it to the
Trailers.
trailer
Give
man.
it to trailer.
There we
guy.
go. Derek Avery. Question of the week. Well done,
Dale
sir.
from Virginia.
Dale.
Gets his-
Love it.
You can see we don't
Hanson's secret
we don't
contact.
take this lightly. This is serious discussion goes into this.
Yeah,
are
we trimmed
serious
this down.
questions,
This
yeah.
is like a 4-hour
We cut
debate.
this down.
Yeah. Lord knows. Hey,
Hey,
we're gonna move on and leave you guys behind.
okay.
You're gonna be okay with
I'm
that?
100% okay with that.
Great, because we're gonna go say hello to the Game Informer interns and play some fun back of the box game trivia with them.
Good luck to them.
So stay tuned for that.
Welcome back to the Bombcast, everyone. I'm your host, Jeff Durst.
Welcome back to the Game Informer Show, everybody. We got 3 jokesters here. It's the intern batch for, what is it, spring 2016? Is that officially what your term is called?
That's what they call us.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, what do we got? We got Luke Wallachek.
Hi, Hi. Yeah.
There we
hi.
go. That's the
Hello.
part we introduce so people
I wasn't
know your
sure.
voice.
I just nodded. I forgot.
And we got a Joe
audio.
Buckets of Bolts over there.
That's me, Buckets of Bolts, Joey Buckets.
Connor Trinsky.
All right, good. Nailed it.
Perfect. Connor, I don't think you've touched the podcast yet, right?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, you two kind of have, Joe and Luke.
Yeah.
Joe, you are the gracious intern who's been sending out amazing gifts to the Question of the Week winners.
That's right.
And also a professional Masuda impersonation.
Yeah. Still getting paid for that.
Really great work.
Thanks.
And then Luke, you were the switcher for the YouTube version
That's
of
right.
the podcast.
Yep.
So every time you notice that it's just completely borked and is terrible and he does not use one of the 3 cameras that we set
Here's
up,
the
that
thing.
was
Here's
Luke.
the thing. Hey, Game Informer fans. Here's the thing you got to know about Ben Hansen. No vision. That's why this show is terrible every
Yeah,
week.
I do have vision, and the vision includes the 3rd camera button when switching.
He doesn't understand. Sometimes it's about the shots you don't take.
That's right. Good stuff.
Just listen to the audio version. You don't have to worry about
You
that.
don't have to worry about it. You just listen to the audio.
Let's talk about this internship. How did you guys find it? How long have you been here? What's going on? Everybody jump in at once.
Well, like we came in the winter 2016 term for correction. And we've been here for going on 3 months now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it'll end in on the 20th here. But
So 3 months. What does it feel like emotionally, though?
Too short.
Too short.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we all agreed that it was a strangely fast term that we wish we could have spent more time on.
Yeah, I described it as like it feels like we're walking out of a time machine and like you're all discombobulated and kind of like sick a little bit, you know? You've been
What?
through, you've
What
been in
is
a time
happening
machine?
down in the intern room?
Well,
Wait,
we don't have any windows, so we don't have any source of time like this.
You guys have not gone home for 3 months.
We've got
I-
marks
I
on the
actually,
walls.
I genuinely haven't eaten today. And I'm extremely tired. They only allow us to eat some of the time.
Is the time machine analogy like you feel like now you get back to your normal life and it's like that was just some weird thing that I did for 3 months?
Yeah, 3 months are gone, basically.
Wasted.
Wasted.
All right, I'm gonna jump in here and say that this is not how I feel about this internship.
Okay.
It's on me.
How do you feel about this internship, Luke?
I don't know. It's definitely a different experience because I'm used to, in terms of writing, working from home, and being able to come into an office around other like-minded people was very, very rewarding. And I guess the biggest thing, like, without getting too sappy, is most of the time when I would be like, I want to write about video games, I would get side eyes from a lot of people, you know?
Yeah.
And definitely professionally as well. When I have other friends who are like working at the Pio Press or the Star Tribune. Are you making fun of me?
I'm pretending to cry, but anyways, go on.
Oh, that's cute. That's going to translate really well into the audio portion of this podcast.
Keep it rolling.
Another great gag. But yeah, no, you get a lot of people who don't really see eye to eye, and finding like a big group of people who felt that way was very rewarding, emotionally and professionally. Like,
Oh, that's
I'm on
nice.
the right track, you know?
So, I mean, how much feedback do you feel like as far as working with other writers? Because you guys are in your little intern room. Was a lot of feedback coming from the other interns, or did you actually get a lot of good feedback from the editors too?
Column A, column B. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
The interns, I mean, Joe and Connor, great writers, and I don't know, great critics too, I would say.
Who's the best though?
Yeah, so that's the death match. That's
Yeah, we're gonna find out by the end of this.
Yeah.
But also just getting feedback on like how to approach a headline, how to approach a story, or even working with Futter on news. Like, man,
Sure.
that guy is crazy about his
He is
reporting.
passionate
yeah.
about his news coverage.
about quality news
Yeah,
coverage. And
yeah,
not,
for
not
sure.
enough people give that credit.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were all-
I 100% agree.
We were all chatting yesterday about like how much more appreciation we have for specifically like the news aspect of reporting here at Game Informer, and how it's like being on the inside has sort of taught us like just how much of a weight is on Flutter's shoulders, basically.
Yes, it is very nice that Futter is as passionate as he is. He doesn't give enough credit. He's not on this show enough. It's tough. He's over in
Yeah.
New York. That's why people always feel a little bit disconnected from him, especially within the Game Informer community. But like, he is an amazing, I don't know what you call it, filter, like just the gate that's trying to stop the flood of potential garbage gaming
Yeah,
news that you could
exactly.
put on a
Absolutely.
website.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We've
what-
had to like help him do that a couple times too, because it's just been such an like, even for him, like an overwhelming amount of like crap, especially on days like April Fools, for example.
Yeah. that
Oh,
was an
yeah, that's a fun-
onslaught.
That was a party. Yeah.
Yeah.
party and nobody's invited. But what was like the biggest surprise? Did you expect something going into this office that was not here, vice versa?
I don't know. What would you guys say? I'd have to think about it a little bit.
I think I was just, it wasn't necessarily a surprise, but I was happy to be here during the launch of VR because it's kind of a
interesting.
strange time for the industry and especially for people who write about games because you're grappling with this weird kind of peripheral kind of platform and how do we like talk about it?
And
It's been interesting.
And it's tough too, just because I mean, hits wise, VR stories don't tear up the charts. And it's like, well, you want to talk about it, but you're kind of screaming into a vacuum a little bit. And like, I hate nothing more. And we've done it on the podcast a couple times, and I'm sorry, but that idea of like, you don't even understand it till you've tried it, man.
Yeah.
Like we could talk about it all day and we could write about it, but you just got to experience it, which I do think is a little bit true, but we play up that angle so much. So I'd imagine it'd be an interesting time.
Yeah.
You missed a console launch, but VR launch is pretty close to it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing I think about VR in terms of coverage is like if you have it in your hands, it's absolutely the only thing you want to talk about. But getting it into your hands is, it's a feat. Like, you need a great computer and you need that kind of money. And
go on Craigslist and search for rich friends.
pretty much.
Just rich, lonely people. That would be your best
There's no
access.
way I would have been able to try it if I wasn't here. And so it's like, as somebody who, if my job is to try to cover this for other people, then how am I doing that? Am I doing that accurately by talking about this? That's something to think about.
And it's been interesting watching the companies try to grapple with showing off VR. It reminds me of when like 3D TVs first started coming out, and they would show like a panther like crawling out of the TV in the ad, and it's like this is not conveying what it's like at all.
And speaking of grappling, I think the most interesting part to me, like the first time I've ever actually gotten motion sick with VR was playing Windlands.
We were just talking about it on the podcast earlier.
That game's legit.
It's crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
I think it's a bad game, but as far as sensation that it gives you, I think it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So what's your guys' future look like? Do you all feel committed to wanting to stay connected to the video game world? Is it just freelance? What are you thinking?
So who wants to go first?
Please.
Well, I'm going to Japan in July, and I'm hoping I can have a beat there in terms of news for freelancing. I've written about games for a really long time, like writing horrible reviews on GameSpot when I was a kid.
Ooh, I did the same thing.
Bad reviews.
What's the worst review you wrote for GameSpot?
WarioWare Twisted.
Nice.
I don't think you'll be able to find it. I challenge readers to go and find it.
I tried to find my old Xenogears review that I wrote on GameSpot back when they came out, and it was just abysmal. I couldn't find it anymore. Thank God. Wiped the slate clean.
I hope it's gone, because I was definitely trying to like find myself as a writer when I was 10 or whatever, and I was like trying to be edgy, and like I was trying to like trash on the game even though I like deep down liked it. It was stupid.
I
was
watched a lot of Jim Sterling as a child.
I don't know.
I did a similar thing with a lot of games, except for I think the most memorably one I did was I tried to convince myself. There were a lot of games on like the DS shortly after it came out, but the one that I really tried to convince myself was good was Resident Evil DS, Deadly Silence.
Oh man.
Yeah, and
with the dumb knife swiping and all
exactly.
that crap.
With the horrible touch mechanics that were integrated into it. And I was like, well, I like Resident Evil, so I'm going to try really hard to say that this game is good.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't.
Yeah. But I mean, is the games industry, as what you've seen of it being at Game Informer, is it captivating? Do you want to try and stay in the industry, or is it just like a brief stop on your road to greatness writing about sports or some crap?
I think
the world needs more sports reporters.
I think for me, there's this whole big thing about a lot of the games journalist outlets are shutting down, and we're losing a lot of really great voices in the industry. But at the same time, a lot of the more mainstream outlets are starting to cover gaming. So I actually think it's a great time to be a games writer, because you can get published in Playboy or Vice or Paste and things like that. And those are all great outlets, and they're all putting out some really great content in terms of things that people want to read and things that people want to write. So
I think Joe's already been in Playboy, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Playgirl, sorry.
Hey, good jokes, everybody.
Another great riff. But I think, I mean, games writing is something that I would like to continue to pursue. Absolutely. I mean, I have to finish up my undergrad still. I've got another year
at the old University of Minnesota, Twin
U of
Cities.
M. Go
Head
Golden,
on down.
Go Golden Gophers.
Rah, rah, Skyuma.
Golden Gophers.
It's never been uninteresting, though, the games industry. For as long as I've been following it, it's never been boring. And it's so fast changing that it's hard not to be interested in it.
Totally. Like, I mean, I've went in the deep end really, where it's like, oh, I always loved games, the games industry, yada yada yada. Like GameSpot, I was a huge fan and whatnot. And then it was like in 2009, One Up is just, well, it would have been before 2009, like 2007, 2006. I just dove in deep, and I remember worrying like, am I gonna get burned out on this? I was like, well, I'm still going strong. And then when I got to Game Informer, it's like, now when I'm thinking about it at work all day, am I gonna get burned out on it? And no, I still like it. Like, it's still interesting. It's apparently impossible to get burned out on it.
There's so many
for me.
facets. There's so many facets, because you're talking about like this creative energy that goes into making these products themselves, the narrative, and then you're talking about like the technology that goes into it. There's so many different aspects that every day that you wake up, you could write about something different and still be writing about games.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially talking to developers. Like, there's always some new little nook and cranny that's fascinating.
Exactly. Like, I came into this, like, I'm now leaving with basically the exact same perspective, but like I came into this as like not knowing how much I would like writing news because I've never been terribly interested in that, and like news is consistently entertaining every day. So like,
Yeah.
I've never had a day where I've been like, damn it, I have to go to work. Like
That's nice.
every day that I come in, I'm like, wow, this is like, I really would like to do this for the rest of my life if I could.
Yeah. And if people are interested in being an intern at Game Informer, I think applications, let's see, the deadline is already passed for the next term, but the one after that, just keep your eye on the website. Ben Reeves is kind of coordinating the whole thing. He'll tweet it out, I'm sure. And it's also on the blog, and it's actually a post on our site as well. So just search Game Informer internship. You should be able to find it if you want to apply for an upcoming term. But you guys have just been great. But now let's figure out who is the best amongst you. That is the point of this
Sleeves,
right
boys,
here.
let's do it.
Because this is Back of the Box Trivia, Intern Edition,
man.
the official thing. So if you have not seen or heard this before, the way it works, I go into Game Informer's vault where we have a bunch of games lying around just in a massive pile. And I take a picture with my phone of the back of game cases. And I'm going to read that back of the box, omitting certain details. You buzz in by saying your name. Everybody gets one guess. And then the first to 5 wins. So try and guess the name of the game.
Hanson, are there any special rules for the last person to buzz in?
That's a great question. Look, I can't think of anything. Oh, wait, no, there is. If 2 people buzz in, and then I get to read the rest of the box, and the last person has not buzzed in, can just relax, they're legally obligated to put their hands behind their head and say, I can get used to this. Thank you for reminding me of the most important rule, or else it does not count.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
very strict.
Of course.
All right, here we go. Starting out. Blank, the neighborhood bully, has created a little contest of remote control car combat for the local kids. So everyone's out to prove that they're the toughest on the block. Could it be you?
Connor, Micro Machines?
Incorrect. Damn it. 16 fully charged remote control cars. Pulverize your opponents with bottle rockets, flaming pumpkins, cherry bombs, and other homemade weapons. Wreck 11 of your favorite neighborhood hangouts, a treehouse, a mini golf course, and more from the creators of the original car combat games, Blank and Blank.
Oh, man.
Pummel your buddies in head-to-head mode or give them a helping hand in co-op mode. Grab the remote control and get ready to rule the neighborhood.
I can't remember the name. Is that really
Yeah, you don't want to get what the
Yeah.
name is? Car combat with a remote control twist. 5, 4, 3.
Do you get a second
2,
guess?
Full
Or?
auto.
1. Nope, incorrect. I'm sorry, I forgot that you guys are like 16 years old. This is Twisted Metal Small Brawl, everybody.
Oh,
Twisted Metal.
man.
I was like,
Small
it's a
Brawl.
crappy Twisted Metal spinoff, but I can't remember the name of it.
I was thinking of Twisted Metal, but I was like, that's not little RC.
Do you not remember
cars.
that Twisted one?
What gaming platform was
That was the
released for?
PlayStation 1. A Small Brawl towards the end of the PlayStation 1 life cycle.
Very interesting.
All right, this next one is a Konami game, which I have never thought of as a Konami game, but apparently Konami published this.
Okay.
When Blank accidentally releases the evil necromancer Moloch and his horde of deranged demon beasts to wreak havoc on the town, it's time for some quick thinking action from the son of the Grim One. Grab your scythe, an arsenal of guns, and your self-guided C4 hamsters
Oh,
to
man.
hack, maim, destroy armies of mutant creatures, and scavenge the souls of those you innocently imperiled, and keep yourself out of military school.
Man.
Detailed 3D environments, humorous storytelling, and fun characters join Blank in his adventure to avoid trouble.
I'm picturing the box art right now.
Yep, bet you are. Slash enemies, grapple and jump on hard-to-reach platforms utilizing DJ's iconic scythe. Come on, you guys.
Oh,
Scour.
Luke? Death Jr.
There we go, Connor. Well done. Connor's on the board with Death Jr., everybody.
right?
PSP.
Yeah, that was like the first game that got announced for PSP.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
true?
Yeah, it was. It was the first game I saw. I was like, what? That looks so good for a handheld.
I think some of the Darkest Dungeon developers worked on that one as well. All right, be nice to your toys. It's all-out war as neglected old-time toys rebel against the shiny new generation for the title of Blank. Not your average fun and games. Full immersion in an awesome 3D interactive environment. Choose from 35 different vehicles, 50 missions with multiple objectives, deathmatch mode with 3 distinct ways to play, up to 4 players screen action. That's a weird phrasing.
Well, it's not Toy Commander.
You like little toys racing.
Yeah, this is a reoccurring theme for this episode.
I understand why.
Interesting.
Be nice to your toys. 5, 4,
Sounds like
3,
some Toy Story crap. I don't know.
2. Connor, you should buzz in and say something.
Connor,
1.
Toy Story karting. I don't know.
Connor, it was Toy Commander. The game that you specifically said it was not.
Oh.
Why did you say it was not Toy Commander?
Because I was like, I don't remember. I mean, maybe I just played Toy Commander in single player. I've never played Toy Commander.
Oh, Split Screen's great. It's a Dreamcast game. It's super fun. The best Dreamcast
These
game.
are deep cuts.
All right, this is getting a little bit more surface level, you guys.
Thank you.
Fun shall overcome is the tagline on the back of this box.
All right.
It's accurate. Play through a hefty collection of developer challenges cooperatively or competitively. Create your own worlds. Build your own
Joe.
levels. Joe.
Little Big Planet
There.
2. 1.
I'm sorry, I cannot give that to you, Joe.
What?
Luke.
Little Big Planet.
There we go. Luke on the board. If
That's
you
right.
just-
That's what I
If
did.
you just want to shut up, Joe,
Slither my way in.
you
there.
totally had it.
Oh, man.
Why did you do that?
I was like, it's probably 2. I don't know why.
Great logic.
Even makes you feel better. I thought of that.
All right, here we go.
You said it. So.
This time,
I've been robbed.
This time, the secret agent is the gadget. When a valuable
Joe. Secret Agent Clank.
There we go, Joe on the board.
Dang.
Well done.
Gotta
PSP.
get my points
Joe
back.
beat me at PSP knowledge. What?
Are you a big PSP guy?
No, I mean, like, I was one of the only people that I knew within like 100 miles that owned a PSP.
I had
You were like the
PSP,
VR
so-
king of PSP. Hey, speaking of king, everybody, it's good to be the king according to the back of this box. You can expand your kingdom, conquer other lands.
Joe?
Joe,
King's Story?
incorrect.
Okay.
Work your happy little subjects to death.
Connor,
Little
King Story.
There we go, Connor.
Gosh.
Joe, what are you doing, man?
Just these one.
You're blowing it. All right. The crystal comes back. Without question, Blank is the best looking game in the series. In every way, Blank takes the best of the old and mixes it with the best of new.
Connor?
Connor.
Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Incorrect.
Damn it.
Luke?
That was my guess.
Crystal comes back. You buzzed in. You got to say something.
Okay. I don't have anything. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Nothing.
I don't know.
You can't think of another thing to guess.
I really can't. I don't know. I'm thinking of Final Fantasy. Let's try Final Fantasy 3, the remake.
Incorrect. You said 3?
Yeah, I said the remake.
Yeah, no, it's not that.
Okay, well.
I could get used to this.
All right. It is 4 discs.
Oh,
That's
man.
all I can tell you. One player. The crystal comes back. We referenced it earlier on this podcast that you were not on.
Don't you have to read the rest of the box?
That is literally all that there is. There's also a guy with red hair.
Okay, I know this one. Can I can't.
5, 4.
I would do something
3.
to give you a hint if I
Final
could.
Fantasy 8.
Incorrect. Final Fantasy 9, everybody. Final Fantasy 9. Damn it. All right.
Who has red hair?
Amarant.
The jerk. He's a completely terrible, unimportant character. Don't worry
Completely
about him.
forgettable that is starring on the back of the box.
Yeah.
All right. When the sorcerer Vati turns
Connor.
blank. Connor.
Minish Cap.
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
All right. I think you know what it's going for. Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. There it is, everybody. Saddle up for adventure. Blanks back with a knee-high entourage. Use new abilities. Blank takes on a whole new set of abilities depending on whether he's carrying blank, 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 or baby blank. Search for hidden treasures.
Luke. Yoshi's Island 2?
Incorrect.
Connor.
Yoshi's
Island DS.
There we go, Connor. You guys are so close. The score, by the way, it's 1 to 5 here. Joe's at 1, Luke's at 1, Connor's at 4.
Dang,
This is
yo.
game point.
Oh, man.
Zombies suck. XOXOXOXO from Juliet.
Luke.
Luke.
Lollipop Chainsaw?
There we go, Luke. Lollipop chainsaw.
One
well
thing I know
done.
a lot about is cheerleaders and chainsaws.
Go on, why? No, let's really break this down, you guys. Why? Luke, go on. You have the floor.
This is not actually my area of expertise. I was doing a bit.
Help blank earn a BA in TNA.
Boy.
Connor.
Connor.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Luke.
Incorrect. Luke.
Leisure Suit Larry, magna cum laude.
Are you kidding?
Loud A, but we'll give it to you, Luke. We got it.
Put the kids to bed, folks. We're doing working blue.
Hey, buddy. All right.
Edited.
Hang on. Do you guys just want to read the back of the box for enjoyment? Actually, I've never read the entire thing.
Yeah, please do. Go ahead. I thought it was going to be the guy
gorgeous
game.
co-eds trying to live up to the legend, wants to be the next Playboy. Nothing that funny.
No,
Never
that's
mind.
not good.
All right, here we go. Home field advantage. Fear it or feast on it. Fight the noise. New, create a sign feature. The sign says, "Hi, Mom, send money." New agile running system. Douse the coach.
Wow.
New stadium pulse. New matchup sticks. Top 25 toughest places to play. Deeper dynasty mode. New gameplay enhancements.
Okay, Connor, NFL Blitz.
Incorrect. Sorry, this is
I'm,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This was a dick move. This is NCAA football 2005.
are you kidding me?
All right, next one. Beware, there will be no mercy. In your epic battle against the Commando Elite, you must assume the role of Archer, leader of the peaceful Gorgonites, forced into a situation that Gorgonites are programmed to lose, namely war. Archer must unite his friends to take on the Commando Elite. Do you have what it takes to guide Archer through this massive blank adventure? Mission-based side-scrolling levels based on the film. Many characters from the movie, including Archer, Ocula, and Chip Hazard.
Luke.
Joe.
Luke.
Small soldiers.
There we go, Luke.
That's why
I was like,
blanked that movie
Gorgonites.
out. That's why. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember.
Organites, man. That's a deep cut from my childhood.
Yeah, from your 3.
Bringing back some memories, man.
Cow, you guys. All right, Joe, you're at one fat
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Luke, you're at 4. Connor, you're at 4.
All right.
What have you been doing over there, Connor?
I feel like it's embarrassing that we've had this many games and the game has not ended.
Don't call it a comeback.
You guys ready?
Uh-huh.
The neighbors are just dying to meet you.
Luke?
Luke.
Zombies ate my neighbors?
Luke, wait with zombie.
It's a hair away from saying that.
Neighbors. Well done, guys. Jeez, Luke, king of the interns.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the other interns.
I
for
was robbed.
Yeah.
I want to go on the record and say that.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
You guys want to do some bonus ones?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this game's fun.
Unleash your imagination. Introducing Toy Box mode. Play your
Luke?
way, Luke.
Disney Infinity 2.0?
Incorrect. Play your way in the open world of Toy Box. Story mode. Dive into the heroic adventures from blank the movie. Play as Zurg.
Joe.
Toy
Story 2.
Incorrect.
Connor, Toy Story.
Toy Story 3, everybody. Toy Story 3.
on,
what? Was Zurg in Toy Story 3? I don't remember that.
In Toy Story 3 was Zurg?
Did he make a short
Zurg
appearance?
he's in the credits. His little clip of him being dropped off at Sunnyside Daycare.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember he was like a central thing in Toy Story, in the game Toy Story 2.
That's very
Yeah.
It was
true.
a big deal.
The blank kids are having a slumber party, but they can't start without you. Customize your favorite character and her bedroom in 13 fun minigames and activities. You can bake delicious cakes, take stylish photos, create your
Joe?
very own accessories. Joe.
Style savvy?
Incorrect.
Luke?
Luke.
Barbie Dream Mansion? I wanna say?
Incorrect.
I remember the mini game.
And much more in this sweet and sassy sleepover adventure. Wait, did you play Barbie minigame?
I don't have to answer that question.
Connor, anything?
No.
This is Bratz Kids, everybody. Bratz Kids.
Of course.
On the
Bratz
DS.
Game of
Kids.
the year. My game of the year.
Right, yeah.
Jump into a storybook adventure. Join blank characters and friendly new monsters on a journey of discovery, learning, and fun. Dance, jump, and move with exciting, controller-free gaming action. 6 enchanting chapters to explore, teaching important life lessons. Play alone.
Connor. Double Fine's Sesame Street game on Kinect.
I need a name.
Sesame Street.
Incorrect. Does anybody else want to take up that mantle?
Sesame Street Connectimals.
Sesame Street, Once Upon a Monster. Once Upon a Monster.
You didn't let me guess.
I know you weren't.
I was
going
to say connect Sesame Street Monster Once Upon a. What did you say?
No, that's actually the name.
I got it right away. Look at that.
The future is in your hands. Award-winning game maker Tetsuya Mizuguchi, creator of Rez and Luminous, invites you to captivate your senses in one of the year's most anticipated games.
Connor?
Joe.
Connor.
No, I had. Okay, hold on. I got it. It is. I can't remember the name. I immediately. One other game's name entered my mind, and now I can't stop thinking Lumines,
was
which
something.
it's not it.
5.
It's also a Kinect game.
4, 3, 2.
It was a good Connect game,
1.
which is rare.
Incorrect.
I said my name in there, Child of Eden.
Child of Eden.
that was
there
it.
we go, Joe.
Damn.
Got to get my points back.
Why did I
Well
think
done, you
Lumine?
guys. Hey,
Those were tough.
those were really tough. I'm sorry that they were tough, but Luke, congratulations. You are the champion, the one true king, now and forever.
Yep.
Lord of the interns.
As they say.
There will never be another intern to even touch your
that's-
masterful levels.
I don't know about that.
Hey, we should talk about what you guys actually did when you were here. Is there
Sure.
one feature or something you guys want to plug that you're proud of?
I'm right in the middle of, I'm about to publish our basically 10 classic games that deserve modern remakes or reboots.
Okay.
Which was fun to do. And
Are they
I had
ranked?
No.
Okay.
I had to cut out about 15 options that I wanted from the final version. But look forward to that in the near future.
Boiled down to pure gold, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I am about to publish either today or tomorrow an interview with Boss Fight Books founder, Gabe Durham, and it's really good. It was a super long conversation that I had to cut down a lot, but he has a lot of interesting things to say. And if you don't know what Boss Fight Books is, it's a series of books where a different author takes a classic video game and writes their own book about it. The most recent one being Spelunky by Derek Yu.
Yeah, the creator of Spelunky.
Yeah, he made it and he wrote
Of
the book.
Spelunky fame.
Yeah, and
Literally wrote the book.
he wrote the book on it. That's horrible, and I'm mad at myself for repeating it. But that's a really great book too. But
What's that one like? Is it going into the development or just like the theory?
totally, yeah. He talks about the conception of it and how he's frustrated with coding and decided to switch over to Game Maker to make the original like pixelated Spelunky.
Yeah.
Talks about the inspiration with Rogue. It goes really in depth, but it's not complicated or hard to read. It's super easy to digest, and I definitely recommend it.
But that's the rare one. Like I read Nick Sutner's, who works at Sony. He wrote a book on Shadow of the Colossus, and that was more like the impact and the legacy.
Right.
A little bit more about the theory of why that game works so well. So it's not like they're all developer kind of chronicles and kind of like postmortems.
Right, and that's what Gabe brought up in our interviews. He's like, each book kind of reinvigorates the series because you want to go back and check out other ones, and they're all different. So it's got a lot of points of entry.
So an interview about books.
Or an interview about books.
Check them out. Yeah. Cool. Luke, what do you got, man?
I did an interview about the story and the narrative development in Overwatch and kind of how they're doing that with supplemental products and things like that.
We just referenced that earlier in this show.
No fooling.
Yeah, no kidding, man. What'd you learn?
It's really cool. It's a lot of world building. It reminds me a lot of my time with Tabletop, which is very, very cool. Kind of
okay.
what I was hoping to kind of
I
flesh.
thought you were going to say, it reminds me a lot of my time with Team Fortress 2.
Reminds me of that time I sat on the couch and watched The Incredibles once.
Yeah, I brought that up,
for
and
real.
it's funny. I brought up the Incredibles to them, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we like that movie a lot." But it wasn't like this is a conscious thing we're thinking of. So
It's never as satisfying as
Yeah,
you
of course.
want. It's,
Right.
You expect them to double down and be like, we 100% remember The Incredibles.
well, it's but there's some super interesting stuff. They talk about the Star Wars influence, and they talk about like their idea of a Blizzard world, like of a Blizzard future, like what that means, and their philosophy towards that. And
Wait, just mean like shared universe stuff? Like Heroes
no,
of the
like
Storm stuff?
in terms of like them taking over the whole world as a product. No,
Is that their goal?
Yeah,
They said
that's
that in
what
the
they-
interview.
And he was twirling his mustache.
This is a hell of a chat.
He's tying me to these railroad tracks, and I'm asking him this question. No, but he was talking about like what the world of the future would look like from a Blizzard perspective, and how that became Overwatch.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that's super cool. I also
Did you get any
did a-
hand before you get off that train of thought? I'm interested in it. Did you get any sense of why they think it's valuable to pour? I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Hundreds of thousands at least into like those short films? Like, in what world is that paying off?
Well, I mean, I think for them, just the idea they take their IPs so seriously at Blizzard. Like, it's the first one in 17 or 18 years, the first new thing, and to them, like that is so important, and that's so valuable because so much time and effort and thought goes into that, and they see the communities that are built around like World of Warcraft and Azeroth and Diablo and StarCraft and all these things, and I think that they have a real respect for those fan communities, and they want to give them the best product that's possible.
So
I really do get that sense from them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's getting out of the gate as strong as possible. Like, hey, we want to give fans something they can really sink their teeth into instead of, hey, here's a portrait of Tracer. You can like her if you want.
Right, and the other thing was like we talked a little bit about how if you want to pull in people who aren't necessarily involved in the game, and they were thinking, well, yeah, we want them to be interested, but more than anything, we want to make sure that they can connect with these characters in a way that means something to them.
I'm sorry, you're about to plug something else, and I interrupted you.
No, I was just gonna say that we've got all three of us had a lot of other things that we did. I did a feature on like the worst advisors in gaming that I was pretty proud of.
Worst advisors.
Yeah.
Like what kind of stuff?
You didn't read it?
I saw the headline on this thing.
Oh, thanks.
It looked
thanks.
great. It was a great 200 little image.
Yeah, you think so? You like that?
What? Give us some examples. What
Oh, we
does an
talked about
advisor
like
mean?
Doc Lewis.
Just his
he's a terrible
nothing
coach.
advice.
Yeah, he's a terrible
He's a
coach.
bad man.
He's a
Terrible man.
He's a bad
He should
man.
be punished for his crimes.
So we talked about him a little bit and just different characters like that. But
A
I
little
had
jokey.
Yeah, I had we're having a laugh.
We're having fun
It's
here.
okay every once in a
having a
while.
laugh.
It's okay every once in a while.
We have a goof 'em up every once in a while.
I hope that's something that
The only thing that we take seriously is fun. Game Informer.
I hope The Office wasn't too goofy. What is your read on the level of goofiness going on in The Office?
On a scale from goofy to zany,
Right.
it was a little wacky.
I'd imagine it'd be really weird for you guys because you don't have to be super fans, but like if you just have like a passing interest in Game Informer, like Ben Reeves is just unpredictable and super funny
Yeah.
and so bizarre. And now he's heading up the intern department. Was it kind of a shock of like, oh, there is a business side to Ben Reeves? Like he can snap into business mode, or is that not an option?
I mean, there's just like one Ben Reeves mode in terms of just like deadpan, but sometimes it's serious deadpan and funny deadpan. So
Yeah,
He's either deadpan, like tickling you while staring in your eyes, or deadpan explaining why he's disappointed in your writing.
Yeah, getting him to laugh was like a goal, a reoccurring goal. That
Did you
we
guys
all
do
had,
it?
For sure. Every Friday I said to him, TGIF, am I right, Ben? And that turned into enough of a bit that I felt pretty successful.
Yeah.
Just wore him down.
Yeah, just kind of erode him. That's what I do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
erode the human
That's
soul.
what you do for everybody.
Yeah, that's what I did with you.
Oh, good. Great. Any other takeaways? Any other lessons you want to impart out there to listeners and viewers?
Yeah. If you want to do this, if you want to be here, if you want to be an intern, it's
we're going the advice route. All right.
yeah, no, yeah. I'm
I
just
can get
saying-
on board with that.
Yeah, just keep at it. Like you might not get it the first time, but if you stop there, then you're definitely not going to get it ever. So just keep trying.
I know there's some shots you don't take, is what Luke informed all of us earlier in this podcast. So.
Oh yeah, Michael Jordan quotes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like if you want to be here, you can do whatever you want.
You're saying force your way in.
Yeah, I'm
don't
saying-
listen to security.
Battering rams work.
You can do whatever you set your mind to, including breaking and entering.
Great. We don't advise that. We advise to go through the application channels that are a little more formal.
Yeah.
All right, that's good advice. Any other takeaways for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, like Joe put it pretty bluntly of like, I like the first time I applied for this, like the second time I actually got the internship, and the first time I applied, I submitted. Like knowing what you want to submit is a pretty big deal, and like actually reading Game Informer and Game Informer Online and knowing what the audience is and what they write about is a big deal, because the first application that I sent in was a bunch of long form reviews about video games.
Perfect.
That I had written over the past year, and clearly that didn't make the cut. But the second time for the application for me, and apparently a lot of other former interns when I've talked to them, is like you need to be much more in tune with what a Game Informer audience wants in terms of like you need to range your writing from everything to news to like lists to opinion pieces to like the one thing that you're not writing as an intern is reviews. So that's great.
That's true.
And yeah, like basically the whole experience sort of drove home the point that I like I'm going to be living here, and I want to start freelancing in the industry, and I want to I'm going to get some crappy day job, I'm sure, which I'm probably going to be regretting saying that in the near future, but
We'll send it
I'm going to be
along with your application
Yeah.
for future day jobs.
and
Flip.
like freelancing on the side, because at some point I do want to like get into the industry full time, and I feel like that's a sentiment that's shared by a lot of former and probably future interns. So yeah.
But it's exciting from our perspective because we've had this internship program for years and years. It's just been this constant cycle of fresh faces coming in and then walking out the door after a little podcast interview and whatnot. But it's exciting to see so many of the interns go on to like bigger and better things.
Right.
A lot of people kind of spread out throughout the entire industry. So it's nice from our perspective to be like, oh, we have a friend over there. We got a connection over there. It's one big, giant Game Informer family. And we're kind of a cannon shooting you guys out into the future.
Interesting metaphor.
I'm going to keep rolling with this. I don't really know.
And I'd say for advice, like the biggest thing for me is make sure you know what you're talking about. Like if they ask you to write a preview for something on the Game Station Viva and you say it's on the Nintendo Game Boy 3D, you're going to look terrible. So you got to really know your stuff. But in all sincerity, the one thing I think games writing in general needs to go a little bit more towards is just having more respect for the audience. I think a lot of the times writers, it's like so easy to be cynical and write something off, and like for a lot of people, these are the things that they're really looking forward to, and you owe them an honest analysis and the best coverage that you can give to them.
Are you talking about in terms of like a news story? Like, I don't need too many details here. Is this like a preview? What are you talking about here?
Well, I mean, there was a game that I covered like multiple times, and every single time I did, I was kind of like, there's not a lot here for me. But the more I looked at it, every time I posted a story, everyone in the comments was like, oh, this is so right. Like it was like maybe 5,000 views each time, but every comment was like, man, this is like the game I've like dreamed of seeing.
What game is this?
Total War Warhammer. So like,
oh, interesting.
So I'm like, I'm super into 40K.
Okay.
Big surprise.
Really, you're super into 40K, and then Warhammer you wouldn't wipe your butt with?
No, I mean I don't like RTSs. Like I like tabletop a lot, but I don't like RTSs. So I would take these stories knowing something about Warhammer, but every time I would write these stories, there wasn't really anything I was looking for, but everyone would comment and be like, oh, look at it. I can't wait for this, man. And it's just super satisfying to see that you can give that to somebody. And I think that we as journalists kind of owe that a little bit.
Yeah,
to
no, I hear you.
Yeah,
You're saying people should stop calling games crap on podcasts?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, great.
Like I think all of us had at least more than a few stories about some game from the farthest reaches of the internet that we thought that no one in their right mind would care about. And then like we write up the release date or preview or whatever it is for that game, and it's like at least there's definitely a demographic somewhere that is interested in this.
There's always a demographic
because they will see it.
Well, hey, we're running out of time, guys. But appreciate it so much. Round of applause for the intern effort this term, this semester. Connor, get clapping over there. Sorry you didn't win. But again, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
We salute you. And best of luck in the future, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. And thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Game Informer Show. Be sure to tune in next week when we'll have a new episode waiting for you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Letters to bombcast@giantbomb.com.